This is the X&C Podcast, your Xbox newscast, featuring Colteastwood and MAGG, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, X&C Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the Xbox newscast.
Let's do it.
Yes, let's do it. This is Colteastwood, and this is X&C Podcast. This is the Xbox newscast, as I said in the intro. An all-new intro, an all-new layout, and an all-new co-host, my good friend, or he's kind of become my good friend. I guess we kind of forced to be friends. What's going on, Mag? How are you, buddy?
I am doing fantastic. You know what? What an absolute honor to be here, guys. I want to do this. I want to do this show proud. I want to do everything that this is like a dream for me. And I got to tell you, Colt, I got to tell you this. When you first started this business, like way back when, I tried to hunt for it actually in the last 2 weeks to see if I could find it, but I couldn't find it. But here it is. I left a message for you in one of your videos, like way back. It's like, remember when you used to do like the little
guitar thing,
yeah, in your videos, like way back, right? Anyways, I left this message on there, and I'm comment, and I'm like, hey man, you're new to this YouTube game. I've been listening to you. I really like your stuff, or whatever, and I wish you all the success in the future, and this and that. You actually wrote back to me, and
I did.
Oh yeah, well before you got too famous, right? So you can't message everybody anymore, But anyways, in all seriousness, you actually wrote back and you said, "Hey man, thanks a lot. I really want to do this YouTube thing, and I'm really happy about it. And I think it's a lot of fun, and thanks for the support and all that." And I actually said, I even responded again. I said, you're gonna have a great future, man. You just keep doing this stuff. Who the hell knew that 5 years later, 6 years later, these two clowns are sitting on the same show, doing a show together? It absolutely blows my mind. Like, it's just like one of those like meta moments, you know what I mean? Where you're just like, is this for real? You know? But here we are.
I'm super excited, and we're kind of getting into the show, and I want to give Mag a minute to kind of explain who he is. But we were talking just before the show started, like his mic was just something was a little not right. We were trying to get it right, make sure we could get everything going. And Mag says he had a bad dream that nothing was going to work on the first show. And I'm like, oh my gosh, 2 days ago I had a dream that I went to do the show, and this is like Mag in my dream. He's like, hey, Cole, I know we're going live in like 5 minutes, but I got to run to the store real quick and get some stuff for my family. Can you just, do the show until I get back? And I'm like, okay, because there's so many people here, Mag, that are coming to see the show. We really appreciate it. We got 400 people here as we're just getting rolling.
Yes,
and then I come into the studio, right? And none of my stuff is ready. My mic and everything. There's a mess everywhere. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so hot in here. But,
well, it's confirmed, folks. Colteastwood dreams about me. Okay, you heard it here first. Okay, so I just want to let everybody know, all 417 of you, hit that like button to know that Colteastwood dreams about me and breaks out in sweats. That's a whole new thing for me. So I'm super happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, no, I really appreciate you, bro. I mean, asking somebody to be on a show, you're asking them to take the time, and oh man, the people have really liked having you on the show, so I'm really glad to have you. And as Red Wolf is in the chat, oh my gosh, so harder. But we've been talking about that in the back. So I want to start by talking about where you come from in the gaming scene, but let me give a shout out to the channel members and patrons. And I'm going to come up with some music as I read these. We got Mark Carwell, KY Bob, Assassin Lupa, Jazzy Newtbox. Hold on a second. If anybody knows or has heard from Assassin Lupa, could you please send me a DM or an email at coleeastwooddesign@gmail.com? Please, we're all good friends with her. I have not heard from her in probably 6 months. And she pays to be a patron, and I need to know if she's still around. I haven't heard back from her. A kind of important message. Let me move on. Freaky Falon, Manic Master, Jason Luan, Mo B, Matt Burns, William Lanzi, Donnie Kazada, Now, Paul Suicide King, Robert Jackson, Lord Starkill, Dante Moody, Betamax, Dark CMF, Gaz, VCMCO, Assassin Dub, Larry Thatcher, Hargy Tawny, TK Chillin, Raiden Blade, Acute Perspective, True 77, Risker for the Biscuit, Micah Forward, Red Source, Dave UK, Quince Harmony, Attitude Deer, Pesky Krogan, Panda Bamboo, Trill Robert, Scrub Nurse, Neil B, Boba Fett, Gaming, Macbound, and Meat Puppet 007. Before I go to, you and I have been talking 100 million miles an hour already. Haven't you noticed it, right? Before we get started, Gaz.
That's kind of my life, but yeah.
Wake up in the morning. Hey, what's going on? Doing micro machines, micro machines.
You should see me at work. I'm like one of those auctioneers, the guy's like, it's ridiculous. Anyway, sorry, go ahead, brother.
So for people who aren't up to speed, Gaz was my co-host for 40-some episodes since last summer, and now that he's got a new job, he can't stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning. Mag is here.
In jail, but yes.
or in a foreign jail, as it is.
He's in a foreign jail in Armenia. I know that as a fact, yes.
Right. So we're going to introduce Mag to the planet, I suppose, and shout out to everybody who's here. If you think you're going to have a good time, or maybe you've already had a good time, you put a smile on your face, which is what we're going to try and do, please hit the like button and support the show. Mag, tell people your brief gaming history and how you got into this thing where you can get on camera and talk to people.
Okay, well, first of all, I just want to say hi to everybody in the chat. There's absolutely no way I could keep up with everybody who's calling me out right here, saying hi and everything else. So I'm just giving a grand hello to everybody in the chat, and thank you guys for all your support, for getting me here to this point, which I never thought would ever happen. And I got to tell you, the way this whole thing started, first of all, gaming-wise, I started 1979 I started gaming. Jeez. And I was 4 years old, and I went to my aunt and uncle's house, and they had a Pong, and we're not talking like Pong made out of plastic. We're talking the ones that were actually made with like wood paneling, like a station wagon from the 70s, like what's his like Vacation with what's his name over there? It was like wood paneling Pong. Yeah, and I'm just saying, and we would go over there and we would play this thing for hours. My brother and I would just bink, boonk, bink, boonk for like 5-6 hours while my parents were probably smoking dope upstairs. It was the 70s. Come on, let's face it.
What?
Right? Hey, who the hell knows, right? But anyways, in all seriousness, they were up having coffee, doing whatever, and doing it, and us in the basement, bing, boonk for like 5-6 hours. Absolutely adored it, right? Then from there we moved on. We never had anything ourselves. And in 1980, 81, somewhere around there, we went to visit our cousins in New York. And in a shout out to the Bronx, baby. And we went to go visit them over there. And they had an Atari 2600, right? And so started playing Atari 2600 with a big joystick that was like, you can get like carpal tunnel in like 3 minutes from using that thing because it was so stiff. And anyway, I started playing that. Oh my God, it was ridiculous. It's like,
yeah, it's like it would go,
and you're just a kid like breaking
it would make
your
a noise
fingers trying to play this thing.
Yeah.
And fell in love. Absolutely fell in love. We didn't have any consoles at home yet, but my dad did, and in those days, which was basically cost like the same price as a car. But you remember this, Colt, the PC Junior? You remember the PC Junior? It was well, maybe it was before your time. Might be slightly right before your time. It was a home PC or whatever. The thing cost thousands of dollars, and he brought it home, and we played King's Quest on there. If anybody remembers the old Sierra days, King's Quest, my dad, my brother, and I would sit there for days, months, years playing King's Quest. And once again, fell in love again. And I realized something. Then I could realize the pattern. Even like as an 8-year-old, 9-year-old kid, I'm like, wait a minute, there's a pattern here, folks. I'm in love with video games. And then, I'm not going to spill into the whole history. We'd be here all bloody night. But, then into the Nintendo, into the Super Nintendo. Then my neighbor had the 3DO. Can you imagine that? He had the 3DO. We were playing Demolition Man. Takes a maniac to catch one. And all these other games, whatever. And it was awesome. And then got into my own consoles and everything else. And then I started listening to YouTube. Okay, fast forward all the way till whatever it was, 2015, 2016, 2014, whatever it was, Angry Video Game Nerd, all these other guys. But then I discovered podcasts. Yeah, same thing. Like everybody discovered those guys. And then I discovered Dealer first, and he was doing those ridiculous videos where he did the videos with Witcher 3. You remember that? It was always Witcher 3 footage, and he'd be like,
it was Witcher 3 or Forza Motorsports 6 for Dealer videos back then.
And I used to call him the Elvis Presley of YouTube because he'd be like, so Xbox,
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Dealer Gaming. Yeah. I used to play Dealers, and I know we're talking about YouTube stuff, but a lot of you listened to a lot of Dealers videos over the past 5 or 6 years, but I would have my phone sitting on my desk in the office watching a Dealer video, and he'd drop the F-bomb, and I'd be like, whoa! Because I'd be in the office.
Dealer's fast and loose with that on the air. Yeah, I mean, me behind the scenes, oh my God. I mean, keep in mind, I've been an executive chef for like decades, right? So the F word is my favorite word. But anyways, that's outside of the, performing.
French fries.
But anyways, I do what I do. Hi in the chat. I see you guys. And anyways, started listening to that. And then from there, it sort of organically went into, actually, you were part of the equation at some point. And I started watching those little videos, and then the evolution of the podcast. And then I started listening to like the Xbox, whatever the hell it was, podcast with Mooch and Crap Gamer and all those guys. Remember when they were? It was like the big Xbox show and Xbox 448.
Xbox Nation, I think it was.
Yeah, Xbox Nation. That's what it was. It was Wednesday nights, and then
we've all been there.
Other people. Yeah, we've all been there, and then it grew from there and grew from there. But then something funny happened. After listening to a lot of these shows, I'd be listening to them while like getting ready for work, that kind of stuff. So I'd be in the shower, do my thing, whatever. And all of a sudden I hear like, Mooch say something, and I'd yell. I'd be like, "You're wrong, Mooch. This is what happens. You're supposed to do this, that, the other thing, blah, blah, blah." And all of a sudden my wife would like come into the bathroom and she'd be like, Who the hell are you talking to? And she's like, "I just hear you in the shower yelling." And I'm like, "Oh, I was just..." Never mind. I was like embarrassed, and I'm like, I was just talking to Mooch. He clearly can't hear me. And then this went on for like 2 years, yelling at my own phone, and I'd be like, counterpointing people's arguments and this, that, and the other thing, whatever, right? And then all of a sudden, Christmas came, and I got this box, and I said, "What the hell is this?" So I opened it up. I opened my Christmas present, and in there is this beautiful microphone, and I said, "What's this for?" And my wife's, I won't repeat exactly what she said, but I'll paraphrase. She goes, "This is the kick in the butt that you need." And I said, "Okay." And then my birthday is only like 6 weeks after Christmas, right? And with that came a new PC and a 4K camera. And I said, "Well, what's all this for?" She says, "You remember that kick in the butt I told you about at Christmas? This is to complete that kick in the butt." She's like, "Get on the air." It took me 5 months to get the courage to actually do it. And the only person I reached out to is because I was listening to Noof Nukem. Shout out to Noof Nukem, my buddy over there. He was just on the show with Mooch actually earlier tonight.
Yeah.
About Last of Us. They were talking about the season finale. Oh, funny fact about Last of Us, by the way. If anybody doesn't know, Hollywood insiders are saying that John Cena is currently training for Abby for season 2. So be prepared for that. Anyways, in all seriousness, so I finally was listening to Noof, and he lost his co-host, Primal Eve, and then he's like, "I'm looking for a new co-host for my show, Gaming After Dark, blah, blah, blah." And my wife's like, "Why don't you reach out to him?" I'm like, no, I don't want to talk to him. It was like I was like asking out a girl at prom or something. I was terrified. Finally, I got drunk one day, not even kidding, and I'm like, "Fine, I'm going to do this." So I wrote him.
I'm going to be on a podcast.
Yeah, I had to like build up courage. By the way, my wife has the exact same drinking cup as you. It's ridiculous. It's so huge. Anyways, yeah, that thing. It doesn't
not black though. Is it a different color? Is it like peach colored or something?
No, it's like burgundy or something. Just something pretentious. So that's something she would do. I hope she's listening to this right now. Anyways, here's the thing.
I doubt it.
I finally reached out to Noof, and I'm like, "Noof, you don't know me. I've been in your chat a few times. I'm just asking for a shot." And so he said, "You know what, man?" He goes, "I'll give you a shot." He goes, "You got a microphone? You got a thing?" I'm like, "I got everything. I got all the equipment. I got everything I need." And he goes, "I'll give you a shot, couple of weeks." I finally did that first show. I must have gone to the bathroom from 10 minutes before the show to actual showtime, probably about 6 times, because I was so nervous to get on the air. And when I looked down and I saw like 65 people in the chat, I was like this, like just shaking like a leaf. I'm like, "Oh my God, all these people are listening to me." And then as soon as the mic went on, it just disappeared. And it just went. And it just went. And it just went and went and went. And then that same night, the next morning, of all people, Mr. Boomstick XL, shout out to him, by the way, which of course I'm on a show with. And Mr. Boomstick reached out to me the next morning. He goes, "Dude, I heard you on Noof's show last night. I want you as a guest on my show." So I'm like, okay. So I did that. So I'm like, holy, this is amazing. So I did a show with him. About 25 minutes into the show, Boom hits me with a private message and says, "I want you as a permanent panel member." And I've been a permanent panel member ever since. It's been 3 years. And I've done, obviously, guest shows everywhere. I've done shows with everybody you could possibly imagine. Fawn's Dealer, everybody. The only ones who had never called me, the Iron Lords. And I will be dealing with them when I see them in LA. I will be facing them square on because they never invite me on their show. And I'm home Sundays.
Yeah, I've been on there once. I'm not home Sundays, but they are amazing. They are amazing. I'll close this up really quick too. Not many people know, but back in 2017, when Xbox was about to go to E3, I think E3 was coming up in a week for the reveal of the Xbox One X. They were finally going to say the price. Everyone was really excited, and Crap Gamer DMs me on Twitter and says, "Hey Colt, do you want to be on my show this Wednesday," or whatever it was? And I was like, I was so excited because I'd been on a couple little tiny podcasts, but like that was a big deal. And
it's a big deal, yeah.
It was a big deal. And
it was a big deal at that time because there were some pretty big names on there.
Yeah, yeah.
Xbox Nation.
Yeah, Dealer was on there for a little bit. I think Rand had been on there a few times. I can't remember who were the real panel members,
Rand
but
on there? Or was he like, or was he just kind of like rotated?
I think he might have rotated in or out or guested on. But that was a big show, and
yeah.
But the whole point of all this stuff with Mag and I, like all of you that are here that are watching the show, all of you that are in the chat typing like crazy, you do this because when you're at your regular job all day, nobody wants to talk about games with you. So when you get here, like this is where we get to talk about it. We've got a ton of stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about some of the new Xbox games that are going to be revealed. We're going to talk about some leaks. We're going to talk about some ABK nonsense. We're going to talk about some bad news for Xbox and some good news on the other side of that. It's going to be a really good show, Mag. So welcome. All that to say, we've been talking for almost 20 minutes to say welcome to the show. We're so excited. First of all, before we get started, a lot of people want to know about last Monday. I was in LA for Monday and Tuesday to play Redfall with the Bethesda and Arcane team. And of course, I can't talk about what I think of the game until the 21st to 22nd. But this was an interesting thing where they flew me out. I went by myself. I didn't know anybody, and they got me in a hotel and everything. And I said, "Come downstairs to the lobby at 12:30 on Tuesday in the afternoon, and we'll get a shuttle for you to go to the event." And I'm like, "Shuttle? Like, okay." So I get down there and I see this one guy, and I'm like, "Hey, are you going to this Redfall thing?" And he's like, "Yeah." And this guy walks in from the media company that they're working with. And he's like, "You guys here for Redfall?" We're like, "Yeah, we're getting some Ubers." And we're like, "Okay." It's kind of weird. Like they're going to just throw us in a van and take us downtown. But they were really cool. The setup was really great. They had all of these rigs for us to play, and Ricardo Bear was there. I'm trying to tell you everything that I'm allowed to tell you. Ricardo Bear is the head of Arcane and the Redfall game. He is the one, if you read the Games Radar article or you watched my or Gaz's video, we covered the things that he explained when he was the one that said, it's not Left 4 Dead, it's not Back 4 Blood, it's more like Far Cry in a small town. And he stood up and gave us like a talk and explain what the game is and the setting and the characters. He goes, "You guys are only playing single player today because we don't want to let you play co-op because you'll all just run on like a pack of hyenas and just shoot everything in sight. We want you to get the tone. We want you to get the feel for the character." And it was really, really cool. And the people that there was a media event before that day, earlier in that day, and then our session in the afternoon was 20 some content creators that they handpicked from Bethesda. Funny enough, one of the reasons why I got picked was because the Bethesda PR person said she likes the way that I treat my positivity on Twitter, which is so funny because I'll say positive things on purpose with an elbow jab. And they said they love to watch people scurry and get upset because I'm enjoying something that I like. So plus, I've been able to get some sort of audience up, but in the past they would bring on, and I know this is a question that some of you in the chat may be asking, like, why did Colt get to go? Why didn't this person go? Or why didn't I get picked or whatever? But in the past, normally for these big games, they bring on someone who has 2 million followers that talks about a makeup line or streams like every game that is, or whatever. And they wanted specific people. One of the guys I kind of got buddied up with was this guy named JV, who has 750 subs, and he does a bunch of Let's Play stuff on Bethesda games. And so he's garnered a pretty cool audience. So got to play the game and hang out with people, and people are just really excited. And it's just a really good time for Xbox. And I think that event is not the end. That's all I can say. There's more to come, and we're going to get into that as we go through the show. So I don't know. You can ask me questions as we go along. I'll try and answer them the best way I can. But
well, first of all, Zocker is being a pest in the chat. He's asking he's pressing all these questions, which you're not going to get the answer to. But it's funny. Some people are like Cold blink twice if it's a banger. But anyways, in all seriousness, he was asking if you played it on PC or on the Xbox Series X. I did see that. We played them on a PC, but as far as we could tell, they didn't look like impressive PCs. They weren't very big, that's for sure. They looked like something that my work would have put up for me back in 2013. But I don't know why they did that, but we were on
32-inch monitors, nice big headsets, sound really great. Paris in the chat says Colt ducked me in LA. Paris was in the media event at like 10 that morning. And so we completely missed each other and never saw each other. And then I saw somebody else that said, don't tell anybody I'm here because I told my work that I was sick today. And he flew out to LA. So Paris might know who that is. That was pretty funny.
The most important question I got here in the chat is from Barbaric Cream, and he says, Colt, when does your makeup line come out? That's the most important thing.
Oh, I mean, I could use a makeup line.
Need to know that.
I'm going to get a line of toupees and maybe mustaches.
Oh, can I use one? Apparently somebody called me Ben Kingsley in the chat. Don't think I didn't see that, by the way. Just because I'm old doesn't mean I can't read. Okay, I can read.
When I put up the picture of you and I, they're like, oh, it's the geriatric, no hair, old man with glasses podcast.
I just turned 48 for crying out loud. It's not like I turned like 74. And it's like, guys, relax, man. You're going to get here one day too. And then people are going to make fun of you too.
I like tell people, it's like, it's not like I asked for my hair to fall out. My hair didn't fall out because I'm dumb. You know, that's just fun. We love it.
I shave my head because it gets hot in the kitchen. That's why. And the funny thing is, then then genetics caught up with me. So then I was just like, because now I don't work in the kitchen as much, right? Mostly in the office. But hey, I still shave my head because it's cheaper, still, and I like it that way, and it's nice and smooth.
Still hot. It's so hot with all this hair. Well, hey, so today we found out that Mafia 4 is being developed.
Yes.
You were in the Mafia back in the day.
Yes.
So what do you think about Mafia 4?
Well, it's an autobiography. That's the first thing about me. In all seriousness, I actually do have I do have family ties with Al Capone, but that was obviously a much longer. Yeah, it's down the line. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even making that up. Actually, if you look behind me, if anybody can see, if you zoom right in, I got a poster of Mafia right in between my arcade cabinets right there. There's a Mafia 3 poster right there. So I'm a huge fan of the series.
Love that game.
The fact that this is going on, absolutely adore all three of them. I think they were fantastic stories. I know some people had some problems with the third one. They're like, no, they didn't like the mechanics, or it was a little bit janky here and there, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Loved it.
The open world had a lot of bugs, which were funny. I mean, how funny was it when you saw like a boat sail through the sky like Thor? You know what I mean? I'm like, is this Asgard?
I played the game at the end of the Xbox. I played it in 2020, basically. At the end of 2020 is when I went back and like dove into it. And Lincoln Clay's amazing. I think Mafia 3 is so underrated. It's so cool.
I loved it. Music was fantastic too.
Oh, yeah,
if you're a fan of the 70s, man, like you know, a fan of that music, great. I loved Lincoln Cole. He was a great character. Again, that's why I got a poster of him on the wall there. I absolutely adored that game. However, I got to give it to him when they did that remake of Part 1. That was a real litmus test of what we're going to be getting going forward. That game was absolutely stunning on the Xbox One X. It wasn't on the. I didn't play it on the Series X. Did they even do did they boost it even higher in the Series X?
No, I think it's still it's like a 4K 30 affair. But I had never played Mafia 1, and when I played it, that's why I went back and said I got to pick back up with 3 because I left it like 10 hours in. Mafia is great, and that studio is just really. They're special. They do a good job. I'm excited. Well, I mean, chat, let us know what you think of Mafia 4. That news just kind of slipped in today, but there's a couple other games that are leaking. We're hearing that GTA 6 is ready to be announced or even revealed in some sort around E3 time. Normally, Rockstar doesn't reveal at E3 at all. They do it on their own. But what have you heard about GTA 6, Mag?
Well, here's the thing. When it comes to a Rockstar game in their announcement, they can announce it with with just like a screen splash or whatever, right? And it could still be 3 more years from then, right? Or it could be 2 more years from then. So I don't get excited until I see, and even when I see a trailer, I still don't get excited because it still could be 2 years from that trailer, right? So it's a bit of a problem. Punty, I saw what you wrote in the chat there. You should be. Stop it. He's like, I'm going to stop making fun of MAGG now because now he knows about my mob connections. I'm like, yeah, you better cut it out. Anyways, in all seriousnly.
Holy smokes, the chat is gifting memberships. Before I lose these, Udana Quezada, who's been such a great moderator for the past 2 years, he's gifted 5 memberships, and those go to specific users, if I remember correctly. But he's gifted those memberships, and those people will get early access. All of my videos I create in the evening, I upload them around 9, 10 o'clock at night, and you have until the next day, till the next morning to watch them before anybody else has. Who else we got? Assassin's another good friend of mine, gifted a membership, and another friend of mine, MacBound. I talk to these guys as much as I can. They crack me up. Thank you so much for doing that. Let me get a couple supers before we get diving in, because I think people want to say hi to Mag. We got Brad Ward Fight, who's always cracking me up on Twitter. He's never Brad Ward never misses a quote. He'll quote anybody he hears on a podcast. It's so funny. He says, "Toonie for MAGG." Thank you for the Canadian $2, Brad. He says, "Toonie for MAGG. Have you 1,000 plus platinumed Hogwarts Legacy?"
Not yet. I'm still working on the Xbox version of it right now. I'm about maybe 3/4 through, but I haven't had as much time as I would like to. I had a lot of work stuff get in the way of gaming. So I started to pick up Hogwarts Legacy again. So I'm doing better at it, and I'm getting further down the road with it. So I will eventually get to it. It's so good. I'm doing all those collectibles. I'm Revelioing the hell out of everything. I'm like 1, 2, 3, Revelio. 1, 2, 3, Revelio. 1, 2, 3, Revelio. And it's like
I sashay around the castle. I'm constantly spamming Revelio. Yeah.
I feel like a Chippendales dancer. I'm just going like this, like constantly. Every room, I'm just going like this with my wand. It's like magic. Magic Mike, indeed. Whoa,
yeah,
here we go.
You're like,
by the way,
with your baton, you're like in the flag team. Yeah, there you are, just looking real snazzy. Thanks, Brad, for that.
Nice, by the way. Cordwainer Mag, the man with 1,000. I'm closing in on 400,000 achievement points, so I'm not doing too bad. By the way, Game Polito, quickly. My gamer tag is I am the Mag, all capital letters, all one word. That's for PS5 and for Series X, and for the Switch that I never use. But anyways, back to what the heck were we talking about? We were talking about GTA 6, right?
Wow, this is interesting. I'm not used to having someone who has a longer attention span than me. Good job, Mag.
Anyways, listen, GTA 6. However long it's going to take, whatever. We've got so much stuff to keep us busy that it really doesn't matter what they do. They can announce it tomorrow, and it won't even create. I won't even not even a hair on my arm is going to stand up. I'm just going to be like, all right, when it comes, it comes.
It'll be 2 years.
Like I said, they can announce it tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, what's it? March 2020.
Yeah, do you guys remember? And I'll ask Mag as well. But do you guys remember when the very first trailer for GTA 5 dropped? It was. We didn't know it was Michael, but at the time it was Michael overlooking the city. And then they said the game was going to come out at this one point, and that it got like another year delay. It seemed like. Yep. Do you guys remember when that initial reveal? I was thinking like 2011, but I don't really have anything that.
It was almost 2 years to the day.
Okay, 2 years.
Not to the day, sorry, but it was within 2 years of when they first showed that. Yeah, you remember that one? It's like he does just Michael says like one sentence.
He's like, "Oh, in the city, you have buildings and cars," and then it was like GTA 5.
And then it showed GTA 5, and then it like kind of zoomed out on like the show like the cityscape or whatever.
Yeah.
And then that was it for like a year. And then they showed another trailer where they showed him like breaking into the bank or into the jewelry store doing one of those missions and stuff. And then it had like the Stevie Wonder song and blah, 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 and whatever. And I'm like, all right, this is hot. And then it was another year after that.
9 years ago. It was, hold on, September 20. No, that's not it. Well, I'm not going to look it up or on the show. The official trailer, that was like right before it launched. Yeah, it launched in 2013.
September 17th, 2013.
Yeah.
But when it was first revealed, it was 2011. So that's what I'm saying. What I'm getting at here is that if they reveal it tomorrow, we're not going to see it till spring 2025. I don't care.
Same time as when Fable comes out, bro.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah, they should have a race. It should be a Fable GTA 6 race to see who can actually finish the game first. But anyways, we got lots to play in the meantime, right? So who cares? Let them do the thing. I'd be interested. I'd be like, all right, that's hot. We already know the game's coming, so it's not like it's a surprise. I mean, if anybody's worth their salt, you all saw that, the beta that they showed, that beta gameplay. It showed the girl like in the McDonald's or the McCluckin or whatever the heck it's called.
Or standing in the middle of the road going.
Yeah, and it's just like it showed that's the woman with the gun and stuff and whatever. So like those are just like beta tests or alpha. Actually, that's probably alpha footage. That's fine. Go ahead, show all that stuff. We saw all that. That's not going to do anything for us, and it's not going to get me any excited. I don't get excited. See, I used to when I was younger. I used to get excited, but the thing is now, I can't get excited for something that's 2 years out. It's so far away. Like I'm just like whatever, man. What's coming out next month?
I think a thing like GTA 6 and chat, let us know if you agree. I feel like I don't need to worry about if GTA 6 is going to let me down. I'm pretty sure I'll end up liking it a lot. So I'm kind of with Mag. I don't need to get too excited about it because it's a ways off, and I know it'll be great. I don't have to worry about, is it going to suck? Nah, I doubt it.
It'll be great. I mean, okay, let's address the elephant in the room because I know the chat wants to hear about this. Okay, I'm telling you right now, whether they want to or not, well, they got no choice. They got to hear about it. So thank you, Siki, for the setup. Yeah, he's just saying he liked my setup. Here's the thing.
It does look nice.
A lot of people are talking about, is the game going to be woke?
What, GTA?
Now here's the thing. They're like, GTA has always been very controversial. They've dipped a lot into a lot of controversy and stuff like that. Will they be afraid to do that because of the cancel culture mob and all that stuff? It's been a big point of contention with a lot of people, and so a lot of people are afraid that that's going to spill into the game. They're like, oh, it's going to lose its edge. So I'm very interested to see if it's going to maintain its edge.
Dan Houser left.
Had a lawsuit with Lindsay Lohan. Remember in the last one, they had a lawsuit.
Yeah, and that was pretty tame. Like that source material is really tame on GTA 5. The game is 10 years old now. The world's changed a lot in 10 years, and a couple people have left the head of Rockstar Studios that make GTA. So, I would think some things would be tamed down. I mean, even
that's what I'm thinking, and that's what a lot of people are afraid of.
Will it make it a worse game? I think they'll find different ways to wrinkle people's forehead. Don't you?
This is what I'm saying. This is a fine line they got to dance here, right? Because gameplay wise, the gameplay is going to be just fine. I mean, I know GTA is a little bit janky. Like it looks great when it comes out, but then it gets dated pretty quick, right? And look at Red Dead Redemption 2, one of the most gorgeous games I've ever seen. But if you actually played it so slow. And
I mean, in the first Red Dead, I felt like I could pull up my gun on foot or on the horse at any time, and I was really felt clumsy into a lot of the times. But
that's exactly what it is. It feels very clumsy. It doesn't it doesn't tick along at a good pace, right? But anyways, the thing is, I think the game's going to be great. But the thing is, a lot of people are afraid of, and like I said, it's a valid argument. It's something that'd be worth debating with people. Are they going to lose their edge because they're afraid of the cancel culture? I mean, by the time the game comes out, maybe cancel culture will kind of be gone, or maybe it'll have toned down a little bit. But who knows? It's something that a lot of people are talking about online. If you test the waters, you get a feel for the breeze and see which way it's going. To see a lot of people are discussing that right now, and I'm very interested to see where it's going to go. So I'm super interested. I don't really care either way as long as the game is good and it doesn't get ridiculous. But I mean, I want some of that silliness. I want the Laszlo's on the radio. And I want those ridiculous commercials. I want the silly billboards and all that stuff.
I think that'll all be there. There's just some things that they have to that will just be different. I think they'll just make concessions. There's some things that don't fly anymore, but you got to push the envelope in a different way. And I was trying to find who said it in the chat. Royal Flush said South Park can do it. GTA can get away with it. So there are some media types that do certain things, but
hey, you know what it comes down to? Good writing. That's what it boils down to.
Well, that's what it is. The
problem is they lost one of their good writers because one of the brothers left.
Yeah, because typically all of Rockstar's games are really smart and they handle that stuff really well. It comes off really funny and really sharp edged. Swindifferous, thank you so much for the 2. Says Cole, I tried for Mag, but he didn't turn his cam off. Sorry, but no, he's too handsome. We got to keep his camera on. Hardy Chani's got another one for you, Mag.
Yeah.
He says, guess who owns Sierra? 3 letters. It starts with A and it ends with a K. He goes, I love the King's Quest series. Gabriel Knight was one of their best. Gabriel Knight.
Yeah, man. Listen, I know that they're in there, and if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, obviously, but if I'm not mistaken, I thought that about a year ago, Phil kind of mentioned that part of the ABK. He says, there's a lot of the old Sierra online games in there or whatever. Yep. He did mention it at some point. That doesn't mean he's going to do anything with it when the deal goes through. When the deal goes through. Not
I want to get into that a little bit later, Mag, because we will get into that because there's way too many dormant franchises to just sit there and not make that kind of opportunity here.
Yeah, man. Why not put a small team on some of this stuff? I mean, King's Quest was made by, fine. I get the tech at the time, but it was made by a couple of people, Roberta Williams and her husband, and Ken Williams, their husband. Jeez. And then it was like a team of 3 people, made possibly one of the greatest, action adventure game. Well, not action, but adventure games of all time. For the time, it was pretty revolutionary, right? And then they had that reboot that came out 5 years ago. That game was great, by the way. That was a lot of fun. Did you ever play that? The reboot of King's Quest?
No, I never played that.
Christopher Lloyd plays an old
way.
Graham. Oh, it's hilarious. As soon as he starts, it's an old Graham. Graham, if anybody doesn't know, is the protagonist from all the games. And Christopher Lloyd plays him. And as soon as I heard him talking, all I could think of was this, check out Marty. We're going to go back. You know, it's just, and I'm just like, is that Doc Brown? And
That's
then I realized,
awesome.
I'm like, oh my God, it's Christopher Lloyd. But anyways, it's a great reboot, worth looking into. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, the first chapter is available. If you go on the Xbox store, you know, in the free game section, like they have like the free games you could download, like, you know, they got Fortnite and what the hell's that one with the, I always forget the name of it. My son plays it. The one with the cars and the soccer. Bloody hell. Why can't I think of it?
League.
Rocket League. Yeah, I always forget it because I don't play it. Anyways, right there, King's Quest Chapter 1, because it came out in 5 chapters. Chapter 1 is available right now. You can go over to the store and just download it for free. Give it a try. It's a lot of fun. Anyways.
This message brought to you by Old Man Gaming. No, you know, people are like, wow, you guys are so old. And no, not yet. But we have literally seen gaming when it was on a big black plastic floppy disk. And it was, you'd put it in and it'd go, no, the drive would read the thing.
Like
and
each game was like 17 discs and it took like 4 days because you had to like download them onto the hard drive.
It wasn't sexy. We're not bragging. It was not sexy. Red Wolf, who's been a channel member for 10 months, says, what kind of characters do you guys plan on making in Starfield? I'm definitely going for the sneaky pistol with a sniper bounty hunter. It's so hot in here, he says. Let me start. I think I'm going to go with I'll bet you Mag's going to say, dang it, you stole my idea. I'm going to go with the Han Solo type character that works with the Crimson Raiders, but tries to stay in the good graces with Constellation. Like the do-gooder that also makes a little money on the side, even if I get my fingernails dirty. What about you, Mag?
I'm more of, okay, here's the thing. I've always been a stealth guy. I prefer stealth. I prefer that kind of thing. Like, I like looking at a situation. Let's say I get to an area and I see like 7 enemies, 8 enemies lined up or whatever. I'm like, all right. And I just systematically take down the whole room or whatever, the area that I'm in, the map, and I'll just take them out one by one. I love that kind of thing. However, sometimes when I'm in a mood, I like to be a swashbuckling gangster and just jump in there like, you know, like a Han Solo type, just like you're saying. But at the same time, see, that it's hard to pin it down because at the same time, I always want to be like that anti-hero, not the Taylor Swift song, Take It Easy. It's a good song, though, by the way, everybody. It's a great song. Anyways. You know, hey, come on, man. Try and get that song out of your head. It's in my head right now all of a sudden. Anti-hero. So, anyways, the thing is...
Downloading it right now.
Yeah, got to get on it, man. Anyways, the thing is, you want to be, like, in the good graces, but at the same time, you also want people to be afraid of you so that they're like, this guy's really unpredictable. Sure, he's part of the, I can't remember the name of them,
You're going to have that strong speech check because that's a big part of the game that was ripped out of Fallout 4. Yeah.
Right. And it could be aggressive or even passive aggressive in a way. I'm down with all of that. But here's the thing. I want people to not really know what they're about to face. You know what I'm saying? Like they're staring at you and they don't know what to make of you. They're like, okay, he's standing here. He's parlaying. He's not shooting us. But if we say something, if we make one move, he's going to shoot us all dead. Kind of like a Mandalorian. There we go. That's the best way I can put it. Very much like the Mandalorian. Okay. He's sort of like a nice guy. You know, he's still, you know, he could still be the kind of guy that will take out your whole crew with 4 shots. You know what I mean?
If he's feeling snazzy. Yeah, Cord in the chat said, I'm going to be a Mandalorian babysitter. Yeah, I've been watching the show as well. Yeah, I mean, Star Wars references. Starfield will be better than most Star Wars movies lately, I'll tell you that. Well, that's probably going to happen. Abdel114, who's been a channel member for a month. We also had Detective Seeds joined the channel membership and it has the early access. Nice. And check out Detective Seeds' channel. You'll find it by Detective Seeds, 2 words, and he does reviews. He gets early review copies. And yeah, go check him out. He's pretty awesome. Abdel114 says, Colt, blink twice. If Redfall is going to be a banger, 90 plus meta. Shout out to Mag, aka the Jenna Ortega of the gaming podcast.
Oh my God. All the names that are coming out are just hilarious. I don't know where it's coming from, but it's really funny. I've been called like 11 different names tonight. By the way, De Silva, you're absolutely right. Rambo ways, stealth until discovered. Sorry, that's a good way to put it too. I like to be stealth. You know, like Far Cry 5, you get in there, you start Far Cry 6, you're stabbing people, you're doing this, you're doing that.
When the stuff pops off, you got to get out the assault rifle. Yep.
you're like, oh well, here we go, and then that's when you double gun it. But anyways, yeah,
I can't
every
wait.
name in the book. It's been
Jenna
ridiculous
Ortega
tonight.
though. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was also called Ben Kingsley earlier tonight. I'm like, I'm 48. Let's take it easy, guys. Ben Kingsley.
I know Ben Kingsley's like 49. Stuff Sean with the £2 super says grinding some Halo. Shout out to Colt and his dad. What the heck? The guy's like the same age as me. Meg and I are the same age. I'm like 72. So Biff Rinaldi with the $2 super chat says 10 hours into Hogwarts. Definitely getting that 1,000 gamer score. I did not get it, but I put 60 some hours in it. I think like 62. And by the end, I was like, okay, I've had my fill. This game was awesome. I'm so glad I played it. Chazomite with the $10 super says cancel culture didn't do anything against Hogwarts Legacy. I think people just stopped caring what the crazies think. What about what do you think, Mag? Is cancel culture going?
Here's the thing. It's a fine line, okay? It's a fine line because what's going to happen is you get the people that are still working and making these games are still afraid of the backlash. However, he's absolutely right. Hogwarts has proven that what's going to end up happening is that it'll actually work against them, because then people who are against cancel culture will specifically go out and buy the game just to upset those cancel culture people. So I bet you about 2 million of those copies of Hogwarts Legacy were out of spite.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Sorry, call me a name now, guys. Jen Ortega, for crying out loud. There we go. I just put I put the horn on.
She's really popular right now, so that's a good thing. I wish people would call me the Jenna Ortega, or who's the other hot Hollywood is Pedro Pascal. I want to be one of those, but instead I don't know what they call me.
Pascal? You can be Pedro Pascal. And now people are going to call me Stone Cold Steve Austin because I'm not wearing my hat now. But anyways, hey, what are you going to do?
What shirt are you wearing right now, Mag?
It's Game Boy. Look.
Oh, okay. All right.
I have I'm a t-shirt collector guy. I got about 250 shirts. I'm not kidding. I have drawers filled with gaming shirts, movie shirts. Actually, I've got a new one. I'm probably going to wear it next week. It's Freddy Krueger with his claws out like this with a big rainbow. It says, "Follow your dreams."
Oh.
I think I'm going to wear that next week. But
you have more gaming shirts than GameStop does in their.
Oh my, wow, that's where I get a lot of it from. And Walmart, if they just happen to have whatever game game I want. I just got an Asteroid shirt too, by the way, 1979, baby.
Never liked that game. I could never get very far into it, and I would die. And then I'm like, man, that was a pretty challenging game back in the day. Okay, let me move beyond the 70s and 80s. Flash with the $5 super says Xbox should revive True Crime to rival GTA if the ABK deal goes through. And I don't remember Activision or what studio who owned True Crime. Do you remember, Mag?
True Crime was a lot of fun. I loved that game.
I loved it too.
Someone in the chat help us out, man.
I just remember that they tried to revive True Crime and they ended up turning it into Sleeping Dogs, which is fantastic. So
yes,
help us out if you know
game.
the history behind that.
No,
you
know what,
Mag? Did you have your unicorn hat on when I was not looking at the actual feed?
See it?
I did not see it. Well, actually, YouTube's doing this thing where it goes off of live, and my mod messaged me and goes, "Look at the screen." I'm like, I am looking at the screen. Like, look at what he's wearing. And I go, "What shirt are you wearing?" You're like, "I'm wearing a Game Boy shirt." Now I understand that I'm so far behind.
Okay, you know what? We just okay, now somebody just called me Walter White in the chat. Oh my god.
Okay, I would hold on to that one too. Walter White. Yeah, let's hold that one.
I'm the one who knocks. Here's the thing. What the hell are we talking about? Oh, I was wearing the unicorn horn. Yeah, when I stormed off and I put the horn on, I'm like, you guys want to call me names? Call me names now. But the funny thing is, when I was seriously talking about Hogwarts Legacy and cancel culture, I was wearing the horn the whole time. And
you didn't realize. See,
I tore it up. I can't believe you didn't see it. Oh, that just made the replay 1,000 times bigger. Yes, that's right. I am.
This is my fault. I usually keep the live feed over here, and I didn't have it this whole time. We got a couple more here. We got to get back on track. Risk It for the Biscuit says the last 3 Star Wars movies are the best. He thinks. I liked Solo. Most people didn't. I liked Rogue One. I don't know if I really cared for the other ones as much, but. I don't know.
I got to tell you, Episode 7 was actually, I enjoyed Episode 7.
Which one's that one?
That was the Force Awakens. If you want to talk about the newer Star Wars.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about what's it called, The Last Jedi, and then even Rise of Skywalker had a few moments, but you know what? Rogue One was really good. Rogue One.
Gary Whitta wrote that one, I think.
That was a well-made film. I got to give it to him. I can't remember the guy's name who directed it, but Welsh guy. Great movie. I thought that was a fantastic movie. They should have digitally redone James Earl Jones's voice like they did for the Obi-Wan show, because he sounded old.
Are they
you guys
doing?
Think I'm old. He's 90. Okay.
He's like,
I know loud.
Luke. I mean, that AI stuff is going to be a big part of gaming. I think pretty soon. I don't want to get into that discussion, but I think there'll be a point where for other side characters, you can just use an AI generation for voices. I would like to just like put my name
for Obi-Wan. They literally, James Earl Jones did zero voice work for that show.
They just printed him and
yep. They just basically just pieced together words that he already had, and they had the computer spit out the rest. And he sounded fantastic. Like, I really listened. I cranked it up to like level 50, and I had my ears up against like the home theater. My wife's like, "You're gonna go deaf," and I'm like, "Shut up! I just want to hear if there's any like waver in the voice." Nothing, man. It sounded like he did in 77, like straight out, or even like in 1980, straight out of Empire. Anyways,
I mean, this will be the future. It'll be the future. I think it'll be a good thing that you'll be able to revive things like that.
For murder.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get on that topic too much, but you know, in movies, when they have to do flashbacks to the younger main character, they'll be able to digitally recreate them the way they looked when they were 15, and they'll be able to use. We're gonna see that.
Did you see the trailer for the Dial of Destiny? They pull off the Nazis pull off the thing, and there's like Harrison Ford. He looked like straight out of '85. You're like, oh, and he looked incredible.
It looked like he was a little bit older than the last ones, like, because I think it's probably just later after like the third movie, but it just looks realistic.
It was incredible.
It's incredible. I've got a couple supers here, but I want to talk quickly about Suicide Squad. This is more of a discussion with Suicide Squad, cutting right to the chase. They are supposed to take another 6 months. Jeff Grubb from Giant Bomb believes they're actually planning internally, and they haven't said publicly, that they want to push that game into 2024, which means maybe it needs another year. Meg, I got to ask you, I gave my opinion on Fonz's show yesterday. Do you think they're going to try and change this as much as they can because of the backlash? Like, explain what the backlash is as well, for those people who are kind of catching up.
All right. Here's the problem with that game. I was excited for it, obviously, because I'm like, hey, it's their first game since Arkham Knight. I'm in, right? Because that Arkham series was monumental to gaming. I don't care what anybody says. It was fantastic. Although the third one faltered a little bit because there was way too much focus on the Batmobile. But hey, that's neither here nor there.
People still agree with you. It's amazing.
I still think Arkham City was the best one. The second one was the Empire Strikes Back of that series. But anyways, back to this. I'm like, this is their first game since. I'm really into it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But then they did something really stupid at Warner Brothers, which is kind of silly because Warner Brothers is really starting to pick up the pace now in the Hollywood side and on the gaming side of things. They're really starting to fix all their mistakes from the last 5 years. Now, the thing is, the biggest problem is they greenlighted 2 games that are almost identical. You got Warner's Montreal coming in, and they're like, okay, we're going to make a 4-player online game with 4 characters that nobody cares about. And then we're going to do it like that. And it's going to be an online thing. And like, okay, fine, go do it. And then all of a sudden, they come in and they're like, all right, we got this idea. It's going to be a 4-player co-op game. And the guy's like, this sounds familiar. And he goes, with characters that nobody cares about. And it's gonna always be online. And then the guy's like, this sounds just like the other pitch. Yeah, okay, do that too. What are you doing?
We're going to have Australian Man. We're going to have Shark Boy. We're going to have Red Hood.
Lava Girl from that ridiculous movie, from the Rodriguez movies there, Lava Girl and Shark Boy or whatever the hell it's called. Anyways, here's the thing. Okay, you greenlight 2 games. Okay, now you could easily say that the Suicide Squad one would be a better quality game. The problem is Gotham Knights came out and it was, as the children would say, not old men like me, Walter White, mid. It came out mid. I paid 50%. I bought the game at 50% off, and it was mid at best. My wife and I played it. We were like, right? And it was basically it, right?
Yeah.
It was mid at best. Okay? All right?
Shout out to Dick Wingbat.
You want me to say any other cool words? Anyways, in all seriousness.
Cap. Then you have to say cap. If you liked it, that's cap. That's cap. Yeah. This is the Gen Y show or Gen Z.
Yeah, the Gen Y show. So here's the thing. You're coming off the heels of Gotham Knights, which wasn't very good. And then you show off the game and it looks pretty much the same. Just the mechanics are slightly different, but it came off the same. Let's face it. What are you facing? A bunch of guys. There's green goo flying everywhere and everything is fluorescent. And you're going, oh my God, what are they doing? Right? And
Crackdown 4.
They're delaying the game. Fine. I don't think it's the mechanics of the game that need the delaying. I think they're going to change the actual gameplay. I don't think there was anything wrong with that. It looks sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it looks fun. It looks fun. I mean, it's obnoxious. You can fly everywhere, but
yeah, like the movement, everything looked all right, and everything else. King Shark did his big jump and then like stomping on guys and doing everything he had to do. Whatever, that's fine. But I think it's the subject matter, the way it was done, that like you're playing with people that nobody cares about, and the villains are the people that you want to play as. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You want to play as Batman. You want to play as Superman, maybe even the Flash if you're interested. Green Lantern. Doesn't matter which Green Lantern it is. Those characters. Nobody wants to play as the Captain Boomerang. What is he going to do? Anyways, that's besides the point. I'm just going off on a tangent. But the point is, I don't think the game is, it just doesn't seem hot. And it also, don't forget, Avengers. Okay, Avengers had the same vibe. It looks like the same kind of idea. The best part of the Avengers was that first level on the bridge. After that, it all kind of fell apart. It just became like a ho-hum. And I think everybody's afraid of the ho-hum. They're afraid of, like, they don't want to do like the useless, looter shooter thing. I mean, Borderlands does it great. We don't know if this is going to be great. But Borderlands has a reputation of being a fantastic looter shooter. Destiny is same thing if you're into Destiny. I'm not into Destiny, but for people, I'm not saving it for that.
It's so much different because when Borderlands was shown, people were like, wow, that looks really cool. And when Suicide Squad is shown, everyone's like, oh boy.
Yeah.
The real heart of the question is, are they going to rip out all of the service-based stuff? I think it's far too late. Everything is tied to the mathematics and the calculations, the mechanics of it. I wish them the best, but are you going to end up giving it a shot, Mag?
Well, here's the thing. As it stands right now, and I said it actually on one of the shows I did a couple of weeks ago. This just became a wait and see. And the reason why it became a wait and see, well, funny enough, they delayed it, so I guess it's a wait. But the thing is, it's a wait and see for a different reason. I mean, we've got I'm still neck deep in Hogwarts, for crying out loud. I've got Resident Evil 4 in a couple of weeks. Well, we've got Resident Evil 4 in a couple of weeks for everybody who's interested, right? You've got Jedi Survivor a few weeks after that. If you're a Nintendo fan, you've got Tears of the Kingdom right after that. You've got Redfall right after that. You've got Diablo 4 a week after that. Like, come on, guys! Like, how many games? And then and if on the PlayStation side of things, they have the big DLC expansion for Horizon Forbidden West. What's it called? The Hot Shores or Hot Springs or whatever the hell it's called. Hot Springs sounds like an adult film. I think it's Hot Shores. Anyways, you have so many games to play that I'm like, you know what? Suicide Squad can wait to that 50% in the fall, maybe Black Friday, or maybe like in Boxing Day. Shout out to Canada and the UK. We have a thing called Boxing Day. It's the day after Christmas, where everything goes basically like 50% off. Same thing. It's like the Canadian and UK version of Black Friday. So, anyways, I would wait for that because you got so many great games. And then, of course, in the fall, I mean, I don't have to list off every bloody game that's coming out, but like for crying out loud, you got Spider-Man 2, we've got Starfield, we've got Forza Motorsport. And then who
Hellblade 2 possibly. PlayStation will have another big game that they'll announce at their showcase this spring or summer.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Dead Island 2. Thank you very much, Colt. I just saw it in the chat. Dead Island 2. That's coming as well. I'm a huge zombie fan. I can't wait for that. I thousand Dead Island 1 and Dead Island Riptide. Absolutely adored those games. They were janky and ridiculous, but man, there's nothing more wonderful than shoving a golf club through somebody's face. It's so fantastic. Sorry, Joel. Spoiler alert. But anyways, you know how it goes. But come on, man. The game's 3 years old. If you haven't played it by now. Anyways, that's what I'm talking about.
And I have. I've played all the way through. I played all the way through. Can we just say how absolutely fantastic Dead Island 2 looks graphically?
So good.
I think it did a great job. And this is the same Dam Busters that made that hot garbage Homefront: The Revolution that I wanted to like, but
you know what? I enjoyed that game for what it was. I thought it wasn't great. I mean, I bought it for $2 and
it was like Far Cry Light.
That was fun.
It was like a Far Cry wannabe, but the first Homefront was way better. It was like a Call of Duty wannabe, and I thought Homefront, the first game, was fantastic. But we're not here to talk about Homefront. But I just threw in the chat.
Had a great multiplayer too.
Oh, I know. I messed with it a little bit, but I heard people really liked it more than the Black Ops 1 multiplayer, which they were fighting that 2010 fall or whatever it was. I asked the chat, what do you think of Dead Island 2? Awesome, okay, or lame? And most people are saying okay, but Mag and I are going to play it. We'll co-op it. It's going to be fun.
I saw Angry Joe do a 17-minute gameplay, whatever, reaction review. Whatever. I don't think it was him playing. It was somebody else playing. And
it was B-roll. It was B-roll. Yeah.
Yeah. So I watched his footage, or not his footage, the footage that he had on screen. And it was 17 minutes. I think it was like 3 days ago I watched it. And it was so much fun. And I mean, oh my God, the gore. And like the funny thing is that, did you see the skin? The skin mechanic they have now?
Skin rips off their face or wherever you're hitting them. You can put them to their knees. Off them. Yeah.
And then even that, like, you can burn the skin and stuff. And oh man.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
I'm in.
We've talked about a ton of games already, and someone said in the chat, I can't remember what it was, but you said you and Mag are talking 100 million miles an hour. It's totally chaotic, and I love it. And I really do feel like there is a lot to talk about, and I don't want to keep us here for a Randall Thor Jez podcast of 4.5 hours. We certainly can't do that, but I want to get in.
Like C-3PO, like that's it, battery gone. Yeah, there's
the candle that burns twice as bright lasts half as long. Yes, that's us.
I'm like a Tesla on a racetrack. I'm flying for the first hour and a half. Then
Jez Corden and Randall Thor, we love them, but they are a small Zippo lighter burning into eternity. Let's talk about ABK. It is such a nasty mess. I did for the first time in probably 2 years, I did I don't like PlayStation's attitude rant video. And let's talk about the very first thing, Mag, that you might not have caught today, but here's the news. Let's get into the ABK section of the podcast. The FTC has requested from the government a $160 million additional budget to, quote, protect consumers. So Lena Khan is asking for more full-time employees so they can bolster up we need to make sure that there is healthy competition.
Hold on a second. Can you please repeat that for everybody in the back that didn't quite get everything that you just said? So you're saying that they're asking for another $160 million for what exactly?
Additional full-time employees to work on the protecting the consumers committee part of the FTC. And I mean,
is this because people are quitting on her? Is that what's happening? Because seeing that all the Republicans literally just walked out, they're like, this is ridiculous because they're not getting their say. Regardless of how you feel, Democrat or Republican, I'm Canadian, so I don't care either way.
Beautiful.
But, I just watch it with a bowl of popcorn from up north, watching our crazy cousins down south all fighting about this stuff. But listen, here's the thing. By the way, I'm half American, so don't get too excited. My dad's American. Before everybody's like, goddamn Canadians. We're originally from the Bronx. Anyways, here's the thing, is that you had the Republicans basically walk out because they weren't getting their say, which means that this is a one-sided argument, right? So where is this $160 million going to go? To bolster her needs and her agenda? Or is it for the fairness of what's going to happen? That is my question, because I don't trust her. I don't like her. And my personal opinion is I think she was appointed for political reasons because she leans towards Joe Biden there.
Well, the $160 million, I think, is going to PlayStation. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't. So we could actually clip that.
Yeah, wouldn't that be funny? To make the frames better on the PlayStation 5 version.
Oh, so let's go right into that. I mean, this news is this news is like 5 days old, but I do want to discuss some of the intricacies of it. That Microsoft's was the ABK. In this ABK deal, PlayStation and Sony leadership said Microsoft might release a PlayStation version of Call of Duty where bugs and errors emerge only in the game's final level or after later updates, where they say by then, if they were to patch the game, it would be too late and everyone would flock to the Xbox, as I embellished the quote. But Meg, what do you think about them with this total conspiracy theory?
It's utterly ridiculous and unfounded, and I'll tell you why. This is a business, not a okay. These guys do not console war. Okay, this is a business worth billions of dollars. They are not at the liberty to be able to sabotage one version over the other for different reasons. There now, however, you could say, Mag, you could be wrong. Look at Callisto Protocol. Callisto Protocol had a bunch of the PlayStation devs go in there and work on the game to help finish it, and it played better on the PlayStation. That could go either way. I'm not the expert. I'm not going to say either way of what happened there. Or some, but the thing is, when it comes to this, first of all, they're not going to sabotage the competition because they need the money from, they don't need the money, but I mean, it'd be nice to have the money from PlayStation because every PlayStation copy they sell, they make 30% without having to do anything, right? And that 30% goes right back into the development of future games. And you know how I know that's a fact? Because Sony right now is crying that they're going to be losing their 30% of sales because that helped make what? Their first party bangers, which don't make them enough money.
Which they admitted to, right? They admitted to that.
They admitted to. So Microsoft would be doing the same thing, brother. They'd be funding Bethesda with the 30% that they're getting from ABK or putting it back in ABK.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And they're making it from Nintendo, from PC, and from Sony, and they put that 30% back into their coffers, and they put it towards the development of whatever, Diablo 5, or Indiana Jones 2, or even just to finish Indiana Jones 1, whatever the heck they're doing. And that's how they do that. That's how they're going to operate. So why would they sabotage making money for, you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense to me. This is fanboy rambling nonsense.
Let me side with PlayStation and Sony for a moment there. PlayStation knows full well this is such a contradiction to what they say and what they believe, because they know that Xbox has all of the power with their game on a service. Because if Xbox puts Call of Duty on Game Pass, they know they're going to make a crap ton of money on residual revenue stream, a renewable residual revenue stream on Game Pass. Sure. Now, please understand, audience, and thank you for being here, and 1,100 of you that are listening to Mag and I talk like crazy lunatics with our heads flying off our shoulders. But you have to understand that a residual or a consumable revenue stream like Game Pass is far more lucrative than to just sell something once in November and hold on to that big payment that comes in. So PlayStation knows more than anybody that if Xbox can continue to keep people subbed and paying $10 to $15 every month without even looking that direction while it comes out of their checking account and enjoying all the games, they're going to make a lot of money. Now, PlayStation will sell the game for $70, and with or without Xbox, Mag, they still have to pay the 30%, and the rest is gravy. It's all their revenue and profit.
I made a mistake, by the way. Maxi Corman corrected me in the chat, and he's actually 100% right. It's actually 70% of that goes to Xbox, not 30. Yes. Because, sorry, I reversed in my brain.
I knew what you meant.
But I think everybody knew what I meant. But Maxi Corman, thank you for pointing that out. I'm actually not one of those guys to be like, what did you correct me for? You're absolutely right.
Mag knows that there's a 30% fee, basically.
Yes. Yes,
to
that's
have
what
the
I meant
game.
to say. My apologies.
Yes, and I knew what you meant. I didn't even think twice about it. So here's the breakdown, and thanks to Hargeet Chani, who is Hargeet Chani. He's smart dude, but we were we were running the numbers. I said, Hargeet, I'm going to make this video about ABK tomorrow. Can you help me figure out how much PlayStation stands to lose? Because Sony admitted that they think that 15% of their PlayStation console users are going to jump ship and just play Call of Duty on an Xbox ecosystem, whether they buy an Xbox or play it on PC through Game Pass or just Game Pass. Okay, let me get to the point. 15% every year equates to $110 million PlayStation is going to lose. Now, they make $3 billion per year in revenue on the PlayStation platform. This is 3%. Pay attention, because numbers can get super boring. 3% of their yearly revenue that they normally get is going to be taken away from them by people jumping to Xbox. Now, they're trying to frame that to the FTC and the CMA that's going to hurt them and will reduce competition. 3%, is not a big deal when it comes to $3 billion. But when your PlayStation and that extra 3% was always guaranteed to you because you're the king and the 80% market share, Xbox has offered them 10-year agreement for Call of Duty, and they still refuse to come to the table. They won't even return their phone calls, and they've even lied to the CMA and the FTC saying that Microsoft is doing this in bad faith. Oh my gosh, and I died. That Microsoft is going to like hamstring them, stab them in the back, right, Mag? They think that Xbox is going to say, here, sign this legal agreement to keep the game, and then they're just going to yank it from them. And then they'll get sued.
Like Lucy from Charlie Brown when he's about to kick the field goal. Yeah, it's not going to happen, guys. This is the real world. This is not YouTube and Twitter squabblings, okay? Or like Twitter Spaces where people are on there for 9 hours. And speaking of which, who the hell has time to be on Twitter Spaces for 9 hours? Don't you have a job? Don't you have something to do? Go dig a ditch. Go serve some tables. Go get a job. Go mail some letters. Do they mail letters anymore? Who the hell knows?
Holy smokes! You're so old. You said dig a ditch. I'm surprised you didn't say go fly a kite. But anyway,
in my day, way back in here. But anyways, in all seriousness, look, they're not going to do anything like that. It's not like that. But you are right about one thing. 110 million. Is that what you said? Give or take.
110 million. Yes, and De Silvia says that's a lot of money. 110 million is a lot.
That's 40% or maybe even 45%, let's say, of a AAA banger. So that could like pay for half of Last of Us 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So think about that. So you lose that every year, and let's say Last of Us 3 takes 5 years to make. Okay. Well, that 110 million easily paid for Last of Us 3 over the course of 5 years, paid for Last of Us 3 and maybe another Spider-Man, because that would be like $550 million. Okay, between the two, that would pay for 2 AAA bangers over the course of 5 years. Because listen, when it comes to these corporate, right? If you think about it that way, $110 million you lose every year for 5 years. And in that 5 years, you release Spider-Man 3, and I'm just making games, okay? I'm just saying it as an example. That's what they're looking at. So they said that it helps fund their AAA games. Well, I can understand that. I could see that. And I could see, but you know what? It's not Microsoft's problem to deal with. This is called, it's called, consumerism. It's capitalism. If they're purchasing something, look at what Sony did with Spider-Man. They purchased Spider-Man for peanuts, mind you, but they hang on to that thing so tight, and they do whatever they want with it. And what do they say to everybody else? What do they say to everybody? Do they make concessions for Microsoft? Do they make They don't. They barely even make concessions for Disney anymore. I don't even think that Spider-Man's going to show up in the MCU anymore, because now they're going to do their own trilogy out of the Sony pictures. And what do they say to everybody? Too bad, so sad. Buy a PlayStation if you want to play Spider-Man, right? Do they make concessions for Microsoft? Hell no. Do they care that Microsoft loses money on revenue from Spider because they don't have Spider-Man on the console? They don't care.
Yeah.
So why the hell would Microsoft care?
Well, one of the things that really scares and threatens PlayStation is they'll lose sales. And Bill Rinaldi and he's crunching numbers. He's like, it actually is 90 million. We were running the numbers at the same time. It's 90 million, and Hargeet came up with the number that was 110 million. But he also used a $3.6 billion calculation, which was their last fiscal year. But it varies. But the other thing is, like he said, you kind of have to round it a little bit, Colt, because they'll lose $70 sales in a certain bulk, but they'll also lose most of those. They'll lose in the $10 or $9.99 $60 a year in PS Plus. I'm sorry, it's not such an easy thing to say, because if somebody jumps off the PlayStation to play Call of Duty elsewhere, PlayStation will lose the sale of the game, and they'll also definitely lose that, or they probably would lose the PS Plus subscription, which is that requirement to play online, because anybody who jumps ship to play it on Game Pass, most likely Call of Duty is their main game they play most of the time, but there's no way to know. So thank you, Biff Rinaldi. 100 million, 90 million, 110 million, somewhere in there. It's in a ballpark. And when you bring that perspective, Mag,
I can understand Sony's stance. I can understand Sony's stance on that, because like I said, every 5 years you're losing 2 AAA banger funding for 2 AAA titles. Okay. I get that. But at the same time, this is also assuming that many people are going to jump ship from PlayStation to go over to Xbox, considering that in some markets, Okay, right now in the UK and Europe, Sony has jumped 300 to 400% in sales.
Right.
And they're dominating 70 to 80% of the market share in Europe and in the UK. Who's jumping where? Even if some of them do. Listen, think about the actual average gamer, the average Joe. Unless Microsoft goes on a massive advertising spree, okay, a lot of these people are going to stick with what they know. They have a PlayStation, they buy the 2 games a year. In Europe, they're probably going to buy what? FIFA and COD. And in the United States, they're going to buy Madden and COD. And in Canada, they're going to buy NHL. They're going to buy NHL and COD, right?
Well,
and this is what they do.
Do you think they really jump ship?
Like friends are.
Even the chat saying, are they really going to jump ship? Because
no, I don't.
Half of those people may say, well, I'm not going to go play it on Xbox or PC because I want to play with my PlayStation friends. Well, you have crossplay. But right now, PlayStation doesn't have Discord, so you can't party chat with your friends. You can do game chat within Call of Duty, but crossplay is something that's helped save this. But there are so many people out of that. I don't know how many people that would be that would jump ship to play Call of Duty off of the PlayStation, but maybe PlayStation has a right. Like, look, $100 million is a lot of money. FTC and CMA,
over
save us, right? And
over time, it's a lot of money, Cole.
Maybe it's a worst case scenario, 15%. I don't know. It's all just kind of a.
First of all, these are all hearsay numbers because none of it has happened. It's like saying, if all these people, if 100 million people all start smoking, 25% of them are going to die within 50 years. You don't know that.
Well, you actually have stats or something like that, though. You could have stats for that.
Ideas. Right?
Let me read some supers here.
Now. These are ballpark ideas. They're just projecting possibilities. And they're sound. Just like what my analogy is kind of silly, but at the same time, it's still sound. You're still working off past experience, right? That's fine. But it does at the end of the day, until it happens, there's nothing so you cannot base a decision. This is what I'm getting at. Long story longer is you cannot base a decision on hearsay. On a projection. It can't be done because you can't have a solid outcome. Therefore, you can't make a solid decision.
And that's not how legal agreements are made, for sure. Like, you have to go off of actual facts. But both Microsoft and Sony have painted the most grim possible picture to try and get their way. And this is where Microsoft says they have 80% of the market. Look how small we are, when it doesn't tell the real story where Xbox is actually available in the entire global market and PlayStation, well, not globally as far as countries. There's another thing we need to talk about later, but they are on platforms that could be anywhere, and PlayStation is basically only on the console. So this is why you see the stuff where Xbox makes themselves look weak, PlayStation makes themselves look weaker. Let me read some super. Splendiferous, thank you for the 2, says, this pony has rainbows. Can you prance over to Xbox? You probably said that while you're wearing the unicorn horn.
I was wearing the pony horn, yes. Which you sadly missed.
I'll check it out on the replay, and I'll be like, Assassin says, welcome to the XNC family, Mag. Shout out to you and all the new channel members. By the way, Colt, when can we expect your Redfall impression? I believe it's the 22nd. I'll check on the NDA. I'm still waiting for some things they need to provide, and then I got to write down my thoughts while I still remember them. Works Venom, welcome to the early access and channel membership. Thank you. You got the Joanna Dark picture for the next month. Bob Digital, thank you so much for the $20 super. Says, do we think we see Hellblade 2 in November? If so, what do we think the 2024 slate looks like? Love the show. Boy, that could be a long question to answer. Hellblade 2, yes, I think it's very possible we'll see Hellblade in October or November. Just recently, Mag, Phil Spencer visited the Ninja Theory studios like 2 weeks ago and came home to his home in America and played the rest of Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice and got all 1,000 gamer score on it. Did you see that little tweet this morning?
I did see it.
See it. Getting in the mood. Do you think we're going to see Hellblade at the end of this year?
I think it'll be this year. I'm hearing rumblings from people that are saying that they're expecting it to be later this year, not October, but looking like November, December. to round out the year. Now, if you think about how they're rounding out, first of all, but it depends on how long the game is. And hear me out here. Starfield is coming out in the fall, right?
September 6th. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Forza Motorsport, which I know it's a whole different genre. I get it. It's racing. It's not, it's not the same thing. So they could release that somewhere in there too. In October, let's say, okay? But the thing is, you want Starfield because Starfield is going to be that game. It's going to be, preferably, hopefully, it's going to be that Skyrim of this generation kind of thing, right? It's going to be the game that people will still be playing in 10 years from now, and they'll still be modding on the PC and this and that, just like Skyrim is. The 10-year anniversary still selling. It's unbelievable to me, but it's still doing its thing, right? So that being the case, you want Starfield to breathe, okay? You want Starfield to breathe. You want people to latch onto it and get onto it. If Senua's Saga is more of a streamlined game, like a shorter, streamlined 25-hour experience, 30-hour experience, maybe something like that, then I could see them releasing it in December because it could be that break in Starfield that you might need because maybe you get that open world fatigue and you're like, oh man, I just want to play something a little more streamlined for like a couple of weeks or a week or something like that. And you could play through Senua's Saga, that kind of thing, and then go back to Starfield because Starfield's that kind of game that you could kind of just keep mining. You know what I mean? Like a World of Warcraft. You just keep going back for years.
Now, Starfield is going to be the most talked about game of the year. And everyone says, Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom is going to be huge. It'll probably be the highest rated game that comes out in 2023. But Starfield, don't get mad at me. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is a sequel to the game we've already played. Starfield is a brand new IP. It is the monumental game from Bethesda Softworks we haven't seen in 12 years. It's going to be a really, really earth-shattering big deal of a game. People will go to work. That's when you'll actually get to talk about gaming with your coworkers that usually only like to talk about golf. So yeah, it's going to be a big deal. I think, Mag, for some reason I have this feeling like December is okay, here you go, month. So I would think if Hellblade was going to make it, it would be November. But Starfield feels like that big before Black Friday release. But it's not. It's going to be in September. So is Hellblade like that big moment? When we see it, I think so. I think it's going to be a big deal.
See that, and that's the other problem. You don't want to overshadow one or the other. You don't want this to turn into a Titanfall 2. What's this guy's name here? Mechanics. When I say by short 30-hour experience, I'm saying short in comparison to like the 1,000-hour Starfield game. So when you play, like you could play a 30-hour game in 2 weeks, if or even a week. It depends on how much time you have. That's what I mean by a shorter experience. Whereas Starfield is the kind of game you're not going to finish in a week or two. It's going to take you at least a couple of months.
Well, it needs a month to breathe before
shorter in comparison.
Are you thinking like a month? Like it needs a month before their next big release?
I think too. If you're releasing Starfield, give them 2 months.
Wow.
Give them 2 months breathing space because the game is going to be big. If it rates well, then you really got to give it its space because you want it to shine. And
the other problem is that
I don't know. That's my thought.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard too much that when the ABK deal closes, that Xbox is going to want to leverage the new Call of Duty in November. And then that would just like Ninja Theory be told like, hey, sorry, we need to move you, which I would be really angry if I was Ninja Theory because I think they've been waiting a long time. Shout out to IM2 West Coast who's in the chat. If he's still here, I don't know if he's watching, but he was talking about playing Halo Infinite on his Steam Deck. And I got to hang out with him in LA because he lives in the area. And we went to and had some really crappy Chinese food and hung out and talked for like 2 hours. I'll tell you what, meeting someone that you've known on the internet for years in real life is so fantastic. It feels like meeting up with a friend that you went to high school with, and it's really fantastic. I can't wait. Maggie, we're going to do this. You, me, Gaz, Rand, everybody. We're all going to meet up when we hit E3.
Yeah, we're going to be in LA, baby. I'm staying in Beverly Hills, and I'm going to be hanging out with Harrison Ford and everything else. And I'll be like, I'll make some time for Rand, I guess. But anyway,
with Harrison Ford, he's like, "You're going to meet Randall Thor." Yeah.
Can you imagine Harrison Ford? Randall Thor. I listen to that guy.
The Xbox guy.
I don't know why all of a sudden he's a Western. He's got a Western accent. Watching too much 1923. Anyways,
Sith Lord says
it's going to be something else, man.
It is going to be
I'm
good.
organizing something, by the way, Colt. I'm organizing something that I can get all of us in one room together somehow, some way. And I mean everybody. I mean you, Gaz, Rand, Jez Corden, I'm assuming is coming.
I think so.
Boomstick
Yeah.
XL, Kay Asante, Everborn Saga, Wandering Dutch. All of us are going to be down there. The Iron Lords. Everybody, and and of course, I shout out to 108 Dragon there, Lemon from NYC. We're all going to be down there, so I'm trying to figure out a way that we can all get us coordinated into one space, and just have like the podcasting like party of a lifetime.
That'd be so awesome.
I'm working on it.
That'd be so awesome, and you know, everybody in the chat, please try and make it E3. We want to stick around.
Make it E3, man. We'll all be there.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm going to be wearing a MAGG shirt, so it'll be hard to miss me.
I will not be wearing a picture of Colteastwood on my shirt. I'll wear something different, but I have a shirt with my logo, and it's like huge. This is huge face. It's terrible. I don't even wear it to sleep. Sith Lord, who's been a channel for 4 months, talks to me pretty often. Colt, Gaz looks and sounds so different. Oh, that's my man Mag. He says, you guys are killing it. Missed you last week. Hope your trip went well and all is good. Yeah, I thank you, Sith. I missed doing the show. Sith, I was a little bit nervous. This is awesome. Noriko 94, thank you for the £2 super. Says Valheim is on Game Pass now. Looking forward to it. I need to load that up. I need something to play because I'm not playing Wolong because I suck. Yudana Kizada with the 5 says, love you, Mag, but why did you turn in Morpheus and Neo into the agents and the machines over fake steak in the Matrix? Oh, gosh. Now he says what's his name?
Joey Pants.
Joe, yeah. What's his full name?
Joe Pantalone.
Yeah.
Isn't it Pantalone?
I think something like that. Yeah. And he was also in the Goonies.
His Mafia name.
He's also in the Goonies, bro. Yeah.
So
now you're
right.
Joey Pants.
He played one of the Fratelli brothers.
Yeah, he was.
By the way, Jordan James in the chat, Xbox is having a live person show on June 11th. I'm flying in on the 10th into LA.
Same.
And then the show is on the 11th. God willing, I can get into the show somehow. If not, I'm going to break my way in somehow. I don't know. I'll pretend I'm like a presenter.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll just tell him I'm Walter White, for Christ's sake. Why don't I just do that? I'll be like, don't you know who I am?
You're like, you're not Walter White, you're Joey Pants, bro. PlayStation Box with a $2 super says, Bethesda knows that we can see that 60 FPS gameplay, right? I've been banging this drum for, I don't know, 10, 11 months. I think that Starfield's going to have a performance mode. I kind of wonder that maybe Starfield wasn't running at 60 for a while. It was a tough thing to kind of figure out, but right. I think they did that trailer on purpose. And some people even said it looked like the game was running at 60, even when the Todd Howard interview was encoded at 30 frames. So, Mag, do you think we'll have a performance mode for Starfield?
100%. There is no scenario where I could see any kind of positive news if it was only 30 FPS. There is not a chance in hell that this thing runs at only 30 FPS. I have a feeling that they're going to have a performance mode. I mean, there's open world games that are huge open world games that run at 60, like the Assassin's Creed. Yeah.
Hogwarts Legacy runs at 60 frames, sir. No, Hogwarts Legacy runs at 60 frames on my son's Series S. And that's a huge, great looking game. And I've told people multiple times, like, what is it about you? I want to grab somebody by the shirt and say, why do you do this? Why do you say that Starfield's going to run at 30 FPS on an Xbox Series X? Why?
It's not three. Okay, Cole. 3 years ago, Assassin's Creed Valhalla ran at 60.
And
3 years ago.
And it's amazing looking. And it's a different engine.
Incredible looking. And that was on the Xbox Series X. That's where I played it when the Xbox Series X launched. I think it was the same week that Valhalla came out. And that was the first game I bought for the Series X. And by the way, I'm not saying a boot. Whoever said that in the chat. I saw that. He's like, "Can you say?" Hey,
you did say I'm gonna fly out there. I'm gonna fly out there.
Should I do the South Park flappy heads? I don't talk like that, you know. Anyways,
now I'll say on the record that when you get into some of the big main cities of Starfield in the main planets, there'll probably be some heavy drops because that engine has problems with big buildings. If on my PC or on the Xbox with the 60 frames mod, when you get downtown in Boston on Fallout 4, the frame rate tanks to like high 30s, low 40s. no matter what. I'm like, what the crap? And the hardware shouldn't be doing that, but yeah, I think
it's going to run at
it's
60. There's no question. I'm not even concerned about it because, listen, Xbox has taken enough hits over the last year or so because of the delays and everything else. And then, of course, let's not forget, we just came out of a pandemic and all that stuff. So a lot of the stuff got delayed even further. We get it. We understand it. They had a really bad 2022. They're not going to take another hit with a 30 FPS only for Starfield. It's not going to happen. I can almost guarantee it. It's not going to happen.
I'm going to also say that I predict that at one point they were having troubles with the performance mode on Starfield. And when Todd was interviewed by Lex Friedman, he said that we've got the Xbox hardware team over there showing us how to make it really dance. I think that was the point where Jason Ronald and his team said, hey, we need to make sure that this runs as good as it possibly can. So it's not a sore thumb thing sticking out for the game. Yeah.
It's not going to happen, man. This is flagship material, okay? This is the Enterprise E.
This is the most important game Xbox has coming.
Yeah, coming at, this is it. This is the big gun, all right? This is the biggest gun they've got until Fable comes out. You can have other big games, okay? You're going to have Senua's Saga. That's a big title for us. You can have Avowed, new IP, great, but it's still going to be a big game. Fable's going to be the next big one, right? But this is the biggest one because of the hype around it, everything else. You got the history of Todd Howard, the pedigree of the studio, and of course of the director and everything else, right? So it's going to be a big thing. They're not going to mess about, all right?
Or a boot.
Guys, let's just
They're not going to mess a boot.
It'll be great. Yeah. Let's not mess a boot, okay, folks? So
here's another one. Forza Horizon 5 runs at 60 frames on my son's Xbox Series S. So I don't know, just kind of put two and two together. If it comes out at 30, I'll be like, what the heck? No one will understand it. But it's just funny that Digital Foundry's like, we're going to talk about them in a minute. They're like, well, I think it's going to be 30. I'm like, what? You guys are so smart. Raiden Blade, thank you for the £2, said, guys, Sarah Bond said they had to trust Sony on MLB. Sarah Bond said they had to, trust that Sony wouldn't pull a quick one on him or something? Raiden Blade, let me know.
Maybe he was talking about in terms of parity, in terms of performance.
Yeah, and MLB runs and looks worse on Xbox Series X from what I heard. But
I haven't played it. I'm not I love baseball games, but it's too much of a simulator to me. I just was like, I'm bored.
Well, we'll talk when 23 comes out, and I'll show you how to set it up the way I do, and I really enjoy playing it on my chill time. Viper XD with the Canadian $11 says they don't need to sabotage. They don't. Need...
All the Canadian jokes are in the chat. They're like, "Hey, don't rock the boot." I can see the chat. It's flying by, but I could still see you guys.
You guys are so insensitive to Canadia. Is that what you guys call it, Canadia? I love it. Viper XD, thank you. He says they don't need to sabotage Call of Duty to get players to change over to Xbox. What they will do after the deal is done and established is remove the Xbox Live fees. That will bring players over.
You know what's going to bring people over?
Microsoft needs to do that.
Listen, this is what's going to happen. People will migrate over to Xbox, but not this generation. And see, this is the thing that a lot of people don't get. When it comes to this deal, Sony and Microsoft are not talking about tomorrow. They're not talking about next week or next month. They're talking 10 years from now, 15 years from now. This is what they're concerned about. They're not concerned about today. It's like Marvel. Marvel's not in phase 5. Marvel Internal's on phase 8. You just don't know it. That's what they're working on, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So this is what Sony's worried about is not now, not today, not tomorrow, not next year when this ABK deal does go through. They're worried about the next gen console. So when the next gen console comes out, and it's just like, you remember like the 360? 360 was the hotness, right? Everybody played Call of Duty on there. It was the shooter box. It was the Halo and Call of Duty box. All the Major League Gaming, all the competitions all over the world were all on 360s and all that stuff, right? So everybody bought a 360 to play those games on it. That's where it's going to affect them. Not this generation. It'll be the next gen after the Series X and S and the PS5. It'll be the PS6 and whatever the hell Xbox is going to call the next gen. That's when people will migrate over because that's where they'll see it's the home of Call of Duty. Also assuming that Call of Duty is still hot in 4 or 5 years from now.
Right.
It might die. You never know. Battlefield might be the big game in 5 years.
You also have to think in 10 years, PlayStation could lose $500 million over that entire duration of people that jump the ship. And I also got to say, totally on subject, Meg, I love your new setup and your new camera angle.
Thank you.
We were talking before the show a couple weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and we're kind of setting up things. I said, Mag, I got to get your camera like right on you because people love to hear and see you talk. And you were pointed down a little bit, and I love the new engagement on the chat. Give love to Mag. I love having him on the show, and I think it's great. Like we can see every little animation of his face, and he's like right before I said it, you pointed at the camera, and you're like right there. I love it. Just love it.
By the
and
way,
shout out to 1,200 people are here.
Back there, so I'm doing a whole thing in this room here. I actually did this room before we even started the show. Actually, when you did that little promo spot of us of the backgrounds, and I'm like, I wanted to message you and be like, Colt, I'm not using that background anymore. I literally built a whole separate room just to do my podcast.
I had the records back there. They're gone now. I've changed that background as well.
Rid of the records. That's right.
I've hung 2 more guitars. I'm gonna put like my plaque up and some other stuff. But yeah, I mean, you and I are always in flux, huh?
Plaque?
Yeah.
And
100,000.
So I bought Big Buck Hunter. I bought the Mortal Kombat 30th Anniversary Legacy.
Love it.
Next is going to be Street Fighter 35 Anniversary arcade cabinet. That's coming next.
Did you have to carry those down the stairs, or do you have access to the bottom floor from?
No. Just the stairs from in the house. There's no way I'd let access down here. I got too many valuable things here. So
okay.
And I got all kinds of stuff. I got my sword collection there. I got a 70-inch TV. I got all the consoles in here. I got the whole 9 yards, baby. This room is the gaming room. And then over there I got a wet bar and I got pub games in the other room. It's a whole thing, Colt. And if you ever come up to Canada, I'll show you what it's all about. So anyway, carry on with the show.
Oh my gosh. Danny Passion Official says, just welcoming the Mag. Let's hit the like button. Yes, please. Thank you. Hit the like button to show your support. Show that you're actually having a good time. We're doing okay here. We're having an okay time. Red Sora says PS5 just added Discord. Oh yeah. I guess they did.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't turn it on to get on chat, so I've never even looked, but I knew it was on its way.
On PlayStation. When I play PlayStation, I'm like in my own world. I don't.
Yeah, I'm by myself.
Someone will send me a message. Like Mooch will send me a message once in a while because he's on there, and he'll just say, "Hey man, how's it going?" That's about it. But I don't talk to anybody. And
yeah, it's the lonely station, bro.
For no reason. Like I bought headphones and they just sit there because I'm just like, I'm in my own world. Xbox, oh man. As soon as I turn it on, what's up, Meg? And I'm like, oh my God, I haven't even logged in yet. How did you find me so fast?
It's the party box, bro. It's the party box.
Oh.
Hey, welcome K-Dub to the channel membership. And Maxwell Cuvedo.
I can't even see it, so I can't even help you out there.
I love it. Maxwell, thank you for the $5. Says, why are we talking about Hellblade 2? That thing that coming out next year? Relax. Hellblade's coming out 2024, the earliest, he thinks. Starfield better have a 60 FPS mode. Maxwell says if he doesn't, he'll put Todd Howard in a chokehold and give him another perm. So shout out to Maxwell. I'm going to crumb with the Australian $3. Says, isn't Creation Engine 2 a new engine? No, it's the evolved engine. They always evolve. They add things to the engine. They basically take half of what they had from Fallout 4 and they build a whole nother segment or more evolved part of the engine. Funny thing, for those of you who are Fallout 4 fans or have it installed, or go on YouTube and look at Fallout 4, please, or one of my videos I did like a few months ago, the character models in Fallout 4 are about 1/10 of the detail and quality of the character models in Starfield's trailers. Incredible. Even last year's trailer, which is all we've seen of character models. But I did a video about Starfield's improvements with the Creation Engine 2, and I recorded some spots of me talking to main characters like Poppy, the main character that is one of your companions, and my character that looks kind of like me, and the level of quality of the facial character, or the I don't know what you'd call it, but the character models on Fallout 4 are basically about 1/10 of what they are in Starfield. Starfield is such an improved engine. I can't wait to see it. Mac Bound, who's been to Channel Mumble for 10 months, says, welcome to MAGG. It's been a great show. Can't wait to see more, eh?
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
Just as long as I don't do any strange brew references will be okay. Because that's my Canada education growing up. So let's see. Let's talk about Well, we're kind of talking about this the Starfield upgrade, but let me skip forward and talk about the 12-month promise. This is a big controversial item, and I'm gonna let you take it while I write a poll. Xbox said that these are the next games these are the games you're gonna play in 12 months, and here we are in June, and there's a few missing. Mag, tell me how you feel personally and where you're sitting on that with the 12-month promise.
Okay, look, I don't need the 12-month promise. I don't need it. I don't need it. You know what I do need? I don't need anything. But what we need as a group, we need a steady flow of games, whether it comes from first party or whether it comes from third party deals. Now, in the respect that the way that Sony operates, if they don't have a lot of big games coming, I mean, they always have at least one big game or two big games a year coming out, right? But what do they do to flesh out the rest of the year? They do third-party deals and stuff like that. They do some exclusivity deals with just certain games. Hey, sometimes it doesn't work out. I mean, look at Forspoken, didn't work out. It was a gamble. They lost. Fine. You don't always win when you go to the casino, right? So anyways, the point is that the majority of the time, it works to their advantage. Okay? So Microsoft has to do the exact same thing, but in Game Pass. So if you have, let's say, two games coming out in this year, you don't have to say, listen, guys, we got this, and this coming out within 12 months. Just as long as you got every month or every 2 months, okay, you've got something coming out, whether it's first party or whether it's third party deals going into Game Pass. It doesn't even have to be exclusive. As long as it gets into Game Pass, like look at Wo Long, okay, look at Atomic Heart, okay.
Ooh, yeah, kind of liked it.
Didn't do anything for me because I mean the games are all right. I was like, all right, they're not bad. They're not the best, but they're not bad. But they keep people busy and they keep people playing and they keep people's attention on the Xbox, and that's what you're trying to do at the end of the day, right? You're trying to keep people's Xbox controller in your hands, not the other guy's controller in your hands, right? You want the engagement to be up, so that's what you got to do. A steady flow of there. So far this year, those games aren't from the Microsoft studios. They're not from the Xbox game studios. They're not from Bethesda. Those are third-party deals. But it's keeping people playing on the Xbox ecosystem. By the way, I played a game, Shadow Warrior 3 on Game Pass. What a blast that game was, by the way.
Awesome.
I played it for 3 days. So much fun. That main character, Wang, had some really funny lines in that game. He's like, I need to reach in and channel my inner Wang. And I just couldn't stop laughing.
Have you played the other two?
No, that was the first one I ever played.
You can go back and play 2 now because it's FPS boosted and
is it on Game Pass or do you have to like?
No, but I bet it's like $9. I'll have to buy it for if you get super bored. But it's it's got that humor is awesome.
Yeah, it's hilarious. So this is what they got to do. So you got to keep people engaged in there until you get those first party games in there. So you know what? You've got those games coming in. You get another game in for April. And then what do you got in May? That's when you've got Redfall, right? I believe it's May. So you've got Redfall coming in. That's how you do it. So then what happens after that? Let's say you got June, nothing, and then July you have something else, and then and then you have August, give them a breather, and then September you got Starfield. As long as you got a steady flow of games, I don't need a promise from Xbox that the games have to come with 12 months.
Hold on with your speech for a second.
Colt? Why are you laughing so much?
Because like when in like the movies when the teacher like goes to her desk and opens her drawer and takes out a flask and like dumps it in her coffee cup so the kids don't know that she's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
The chat is like totally shaming me because they heard me pouring what they think is Mountain Dew into my water cup.
Oh, into your water cup, eh? Yeah, yeah. I just drank a pint of vodka. That's Canadian water, in case you're wondering.
I mean, should I put up a poll and say, do you think Colt's drinking Mountain Dew right now? Yes, yes. You guys know me so well.
Vodka's probably healthier for you.
What happened? What? Probably. What happened was a few weeks ago, my mom came to visit, and I totally went off the wagon because she stresses me out. And the first thing I did was got a big old Mountain Dew, and then I've been an emotional wreck ever since. Love my mom; she's great. Love it. But but I hear you,
Mag.
I got
a great recipe for green Mountain Dew cheesecake. You got to have it; it's fantastic.
Oh,
anyways,
okay. The cool thing is, I heard everything you were saying when you were talking about how they need to have a steady flow of games. And of course, games.
It doesn't have to be first party, and you don't have to give me a promise.
Yes,
just
because
keep them coming.
I'm not mad about them not delivering with Forza and Starfield because those games need to come out better. And I think Xbox has kind of changed their tune. We're like, look, we're not going to meet fiscal demands anymore. The game needs to come out because we're going to lose money if it's not good. And we're going to make more money when the game comes out later, but better, right? I mean, let's take away we got to do it for the gamers, because in all actuality, Microsoft and Xbox are saying, look, we make more money when the game comes out and hits really hard and it doesn't get bashed, right? So, and I can respect that, because that also means we're getting a better product. But I'm with you, Mag. They should have cracked the checkbook out and said, look, we don't have anything for 9 months. We need to fill the spaces with some stuff. And Wolong and Atomic Heart, all those waited like Hi-Fi Rush, yeah.
Hi-Fi Rush. I completely forgot about Hi-Fi Rush. Fantastic experience. I loved playing it. I played it for a week, and it did what it needed to do. It kept me on the Xbox, and this is what you got to do. What does Netflix do? What does Disney Plus do when they don't have? Well, not Disney Plus, because Disney Plus only deals with exclusives, right? But if you look at like Netflix, for example, or Paramount Plus, or you guys got Hulu, we got Crave up here, that kind of thing, right? So what do? When they don't have or Amazon, when they don't have their first party studios making content, what do? Netflix is bringing in other stuff. You know what? They bring in all the Indiana Jones flicks. They bring in whatever. They bring in the Terminator movies and stuff like that, and then they bring in some other third party films and TV shows into the service. And all of a sudden, Friends, after 25 years, becomes the #1 show on thing. And why do they do that? They do that to keep you watching Netflix until the next Stranger Things comes out, or the next
you have to,
Ozark
because
comes out.
When there isn't anything, people are like, you know what? I'm going to cancel my sub for a little bit. And Xbox probably lost a lot of people and didn't grow during that 2022 that we didn't like.
Night. I mean, we could say, Colt, you and I could sit here all night and say they could have with a bunch of different things. But you know what? But in 2022, let's face it, you could have got Gotham Knights in there day one. That would have been a great boost for the game. And
I said the same thing, Meg, but I said the same thing, but I think by May, when they knew Starfield was going to delay, that it was probably too late to grab Gotham Knights in October or whatever. I would assume, right?
Yeah, it's not like they call them like the day before and be like, "Hey, can you drop it on Game Pass?" They're like, "Yeah, okay, click," and then there it is. It doesn't work like that.
Speaking of today, Rod Ferguson of Blizzard, who used to work at Coalition for Gears, said that we do not. Let me grab the quote from him. He said,
"All right,
no plans for Diablo 4 in Game Pass." He was answering a bunch of questions when he threw that in there, and everyone's like, "What? What about if you get acquired?" And of course, he wouldn't answer that. Right.
No, that's too inflammatory. That's too inflammatory when they're in the middle of a situation where they're still trying to get the deal approved, right? You cannot start making deals like that, because it's going to antagonize the competition even further. The best thing that Microsoft do is do what they're doing. Lay low when it comes to this stuff. Right? It's not like at the same time while they're trying to get ABK, they're in the middle of trying to get Square Enix or something, or Capcom. They're not going to do things like that, because all you're doing is antagonizing the people who are in charge of either passing or failing this acquisition, right? Or approving or denying this acquisition is what I meant. But you know what I mean? And so they're not going to do anything like that to antagonize it. There's absolutely no way on God's green earth that any ABK deal is coming to Xbox Game Pass until the deal is signed. But it will be signed. But anyways, but the thing is, I'm just saying they're not going to do that. So when he said that, I'm like, why is this news? How is it like this? Can't be news to anybody. Like it's a no-brainer to me that there's absolutely no reason or way that they're going to do that to antagonize what's her name, Wrath of Khan, any further than they have to.
Wrath of Khan. Oh man, talking about 1986 or whatever that was.
Yeah.
So Diablo 4 comes out in June, I think it's a release date. Yeah, I mean, correct. Rod Ferguson, they don't have, there's nothing been put in place that says that Diablo 4 is coming to Game Pass, but you know dang well that studio knows we're probably going into Game Pass as soon as this thing is done. And I don't even know how
2024 comes around, sure, but not now, and not while they're dealing with
how about the end of the summer? Like, if we get an agreement in the 25th or 26th of April, when the FTC and CMA close the agreement, if there's no sue to block or block to sue, I mean, could it come out?
Then you can do
as
it later
soon as
on,
possible. Yeah, I don't know.
Then you can do something like that later. But can you imagine? Now, here's the other thing, Colt. There's another thing a lot of people don't realize. think of it's such a terrible term, but I mean, I'm just going to say it anyway. The game dump that's going to come into Game Pass from ABK. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Sorry, it comes out so awful, but there's no other way I can say it.
like a dozen Call of Duty games, right?
Holy mackerel. The Tony Hawk games, the Call of Duty games.
I just bought the prototype 1 and 2 pack, like when the ABK deal was being whatever. But yeah, I mean, how many games are going to throw in 20 one month and another? Man.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. They've got a lot of games that, by the way, I see everybody in the chat is saying some con quotes all of a sudden.
Yeah, the Sosa says Rod just can't escape Microsoft. Yeah, same thing with
it's like
Mikey Barra.
Godfather 3, brother. It's like the Godfather 3. It's like, hey, Rod Ferguson, you thought you're out, eh? You thought you're out, and all of a sudden they pulled me back in. That's it. And all of a sudden, that's what Phil's saying right now. Is he's doing the line that what's his name from Thanos. And what ends up happening? It all comes back to me.
It all comes. I know that Mikey Barra took Phil Spencer off of his Outlook email contact list, and then by the end of the summer, he's like, "Oh crap, I'm working for Phil again. Here we go."
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see.
Phil's gonna grow a big mustache so he can twirl it when they show back up at the office, just for one day. Just for one day. He's gonna do it during November. He's gonna have a big mustache.
Yeah, big curly mustache. We got. So have you've seen the whole fight about the Xbox hardware thing? Apparently the PlayStation guys have been dancing on the grave of the Xbox Series X that can't outperform the PS5. And one of the things they were recently celebrating is the Resident Evil 4 remake demo that apparently runs better on the PS5 even though the Series X is more powerful. But Mag, I have a quote I love this guy. I really like the guys at Digital Foundry. It's hard for me to choose who's my favorite between Richard Ledbetter and John Linneman. But John Linneman said this. He's one of my favorites. He says, so people are asking, what's going on? Like, you guys, these people were saying something like to John Linneman this morning, like, you're so biased. You just want PlayStation to have the win on everything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Xbox fans, don't say that. Like, it's literally numbers. Like they're crunching actual factoid numbers and doing calculations. There's no bias on that. But John Linneman said, quote, it's just odd given that I've basically said the exact opposite. Xbox has a controls issue with the game. Now I'll put in a bracket. They complained about just on the Xbox console, there's a dead zone problem that shouldn't be there. That's not on PC or PS5 that for some reason it's just not addressed. So he says, Xbox has a control issue with this game. Sure. But it looks better than the PS5 version and has better VRR support. So, and then he just leaves a quote there, but they also explained that Xbox runs the game at 1440p with some frame drops, but PS5 runs the game at 1200p with less frame drops, but the VRR saves the performance. So it actually runs better on a VRR supported screen on Xbox over the PS5. But there's just these things that we're going to see where the story isn't always there. And I know that Digital Foundry hasn't always talked about the resolution as much because more often than not, the resolution has been the same across both consoles. Do you cry yourself to sleep over these things, Mag?
No, absolutely not. The only time I don't understand. Like, I mean, what are you going to do? Like, for people who only have the one console, what the hell's the difference? If you're going to play the game, you're going to play the game or not, right? If you only have a Series X, and you want to play Resident Evil 4, guess where you're going to play it? You're going to play it on the Series X because you have no choice. It doesn't matter if it's running at 1440p with better VRR or if you only own a PlayStation 5 and you want to play Resident Evil 4. You're going to complain about how this one looks and that one looks when the only option you have is in front of you. If you have both, which a lot of us, the hardcore have both, and we had since day one. I had a PS5 from day one. I have two PS5s in the house, and I got 4 series consoles in this house. Okay, so that being the case, I can pick and choose depending on where I want to play it for whatever personal reasons I want. If I find that the performance is going to be better on Xbox, that's fine. But I'm not going to sit there crunching numbers and looking at spreadsheets and going, well, there's this and that, and this and that. It's where I want to play it. Do I want to get a platinum or do I want to get 1,000 out of 1,000?
There you go.
Because by the way, I complete all my games. I don't half-ass them. So the point is that it's my personal preference of where I want to play. I don't care that, now there were some issues that were a little bit more glaring. Like, for example, I understand that Callisto Protocol, which I got for the PlayStation 5, and only because I game share with someone who I purchased that game for, okay, because he had to purchase Jedi Survivor for me, and I bought Callisto Protocol for him, right? So we were game sharing over there. So I heard that the Xbox version had some issues or whatever else, right? And they said that it was enough to cause problems in performance. Well, if that's the case, then I would buy the PS5 version, right?
Yeah.
As controversial as that is on an Xbox podcast, but I would buy it there. But if it's just something as piddly diddly as like some of the resolution that you could probably not even notice, I challenge anybody that would be able to notice the difference between 1200 and 1400.
No, you won't. And I used to brag about the resolution when it was the Xbox One X versus the PS4 Pro, but back then the resolution was most of the times double the resolution on the Xbox.
Double the resolution is a whole different ballgame.
That's a different deal.
That's something you could definitely notice. But something so marginal as that, you're not going to notice. So you know what? In the end of the day, guys, and this goes for everybody in the chat, all 1.1 thousand of you, and we were at 1.2 thousand at one point. Listen, play where you want and enjoy and have a good time. Like Colt likes to say, be nice, okay? But seriously, just enjoy and play where you want to play and have a good time about it. Don't squabble about it. I mean, at the end of the day, just enjoy what you want to play and let people play where they want to play. If it's on Xbox, let it be Xbox.
Well,
if it's on PlayStation, let it be PlayStation. But don't bitch about the other side.
The problem that happens to me is I play all of my multiplats on Xbox, and then I play the PlayStation exclusives on a PS5.
On a PlayStation, I don't know.
My other problem is Digital Foundry will come out with analysis, and I'm like, I've already bought the game. I already started it. Atomic Heart today got like a performance changing patch where it fixed a lot of problems. I'm like,
did they?
Cool. I beat that game like a week and a half ago. Right. It's over. And, Hogwarts Legacy gets like some fix, and they're like, it's great. Or what Gotham Knights got, it's now at a locked 30. And I'm like, oh, great. I already beat it.
That's great.
When it came out.
We finished it like 6 weeks ago. Yeah. It's not. But yeah, no, I get it. I get it, and I understand it, and I understand the frustrations too. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, what can we do, really? The only thing you could do is vote with your wallet, and if you find that there's a problem, then you know what? Someone is eventually going to listen when they're not making the money, and that's the key to all of it, So when you're not making the money, that's what they're in there for. People could say all they want, like, oh, I love doing this. I love doing this. But you can love it all you want, but if you're not taking a paycheck home to pay your bills and your mortgage, your love's going to run out real fast.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's all about the money. So if they're not pulling their weight in one department or another, don't give them the money then. You know what I mean? Don't give them the money and just vote with your wallet and say, hey, listen, I'm not happy with the performance that you've done on this, and put pressure on them in that respect and get them to fix it. Yeah. In this case, it so happens to be better on the Resident Evil 4 on Xbox, from what you're saying, which is great. I mean, if you got an Xbox, it's fantastic.
I've got a video that's about 3 weeks old where I covered the problems with performance and admitted to things that I was wrong about the dev kit and the porting process. And even Digital Foundry says one of the main problems right now with the Xbox, and shout out to in the chat, let me find her name here. Chat's going so quickly. Tori Ann says PS5's API versus Xbox DirectX 12, something to that extent. And yes, that's what we've heard, is the DX12, which is on PC and Xbox, is causing some performance problems with drivers or how the game runs with that API. And as Digital Foundry also explains, devs are spending more time with the PlayStation version than with any other platform. One of the other reasons, which is interesting, is the PlayStation has its own bespoke shader system where it builds geometry, and developers have to spend more time getting that port to run on the PlayStation. And they spend all that time, then they get great performance out of it, and then they go, oh yeah, we're DX12 on PC, let's get it and go, and we're good. And I don't blame developers.
You're saying it's being treated as an afterthought.
It kind of, because it just works, Oh, here it is, set it on this. This is how it works on PC. It's the same thing for Xbox Series S and X, and it works great. And I don't blame developers, because you remember how you were talking about who's going to notice the difference, who's going to see it. Developers will port the game and they play it on the dev kit, and then everyone walks in the room and they're like, how's it look? Looks great on the Xbox. How's it run? It's running really great. Ship it. And I don't blame them for that, because it's when Digital Foundry puts the time graph on there, the frame time graph, and you see the dips, and then the developers go, dang it. Like, I didn't think anybody would really notice or care. And part of it is
together a car.
Yeah, and part of it is them not being
after a month. No.
Right.
Yeah,
and
I get it.
Because I'm trying to be as fair as possible. Because part of it is, it's not that big of a deal. And some of it is like, we're already crunched for time is enough. We're lucky to get this game out. And some of it's like a little bit less effort, not happening. And I never want to like blast the devs because they create things that we love. I think they just need all the support they can get. And it sounds like Xbox is trying to give them that support. And sometimes they don't have time to use it, or we've already invested this route, how we're going. Thank you, Xbox, but we've already done all this and we're not going to backtrack, even if it's going to help the game a little bit, because we're already like put a lot of time into it. Is that fair enough for me to say it that way? It sucks.
I think so. And the thing is too, is also, I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, but I was talking about it with shout out to Wandering Dutch. Go check that guy out. He's fantastic. Member of the Primetime Gaming channel as well. Listen, he said something. He goes, people are complaining about the Series S, right? Holding back gaming, right? All this other stuff. Just wait until they start releasing their first party games that they're exclusively making for the series consoles.
For that API, yeah.
Wait till you see when that comes. And then you're going to see who's holding back what. They ain't holding back nothing.
Forza Horizon 5, yeah.
Ain't holding back anything. And you're going to see the performance on that Series S is going to be chugging along. That little beast is going to be chugging along, and you're going to go, wow. It's just that they're not, I think you're right, in some respects, that they're not spending enough time with the hardware. Right? It's I'm not I don't want to paraphrase you, but I mean even just treating it as an afterthought in a way that they're not utilizing all its tools. Then listen. I'm not a tech guy. I'm just saying what I'm thinking might be happening. But like I said, when we see a Senua's Saga or a Starfield running on a Series S, then you'll see what it's actually capable of, because they will be exclusively working on that hardware for years.
Well,
right? Without having to port to a PS5.
Even the multiplats over the past 3 years or almost 3 years, like I've seen enough big games on the Series S to say the Series S does pretty dang good, and there's only a few games that don't get us. Yeah, you have one, right?
I got a Series S in my bedroom. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, there's only a few games that don't have a 60 FPS mode, but most do. Like the Steam Deck is less powerful, and minimum spec PCs that are at around that. It's all technical jargon. Babe Lincoln with the Canadian $2.79 says next Call of Duty game should be World War II Call of Wolfenstein, as he dreams for a crossover with id, and Machine Games. That'd be amazing. John RPG with the 5 says the MAGG don't miss. That's the super chat.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I screamed that out in the arcade when I beat Centipede, when I beat the final boss in Centipede. I put a video about it on a Twitter.
I saw it.
And I just you should have seen the people. I mean, no one could see because my son was filming. And I just went, the MAGG don't miss. And yeah, I looked like a lunatic inside the arcade. But hey, what are you going to do?
I'm sure you weren't the only one in there that was a slight lunatic. That place looks fun. Brad Ward Fight with the Canadian $2.20 says, take a shot of maple syrup, Colt. Yeah, you were making maple syrup this morning?
Yesterday.
Or yesterday?
That is correct. In the deep, dark woods of the Canadian North.
With all the snow and the frigid tundra going on.
Yeah, actually, it wasn't that cold. It was only -3 Celsius, so I don't know what the hell that is for you guys.
I don't know. $7, something like that. Spartan661, thank you for the super. Says, great show, guys. I think that Starfield will sell more on Xbox and PC than Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy 16 combined. I don't know about that. Maybe. Final Fantasy games sell pretty well, and you're a fan, Mag. What do you think of Spartan's guess there?
First of all, I detest Final Fantasy games.
Oh, I made a new friend. I don't love them. I tried Final Fantasy 15.
I can't do it.
I trucked it. Yeah. Sorry.
I can't do it. I've tried so many times, and I'm like, let me just try it. And I can't do it. I can't get into it, man. I don't like. I'm not. Okay. I'm not a huge fan of Japanese games. Just Capcom I can put up with, because Capcom makes Resident Evil one of my favorite series of all time, right? But those games don't play or feel like Japanese games. I don't know if this makes any sense to anybody other than my insane brain, but I just don't vibe.
Yeah, it's not they're more Western style, I suppose. And even that can be controversial to say, but I really loved Resident Evil 3 more than most people.
Games are up there. Like Resident Evil 7 is one of my favorite games of all time. No joke, of all time. I thought Resident Evil 7 was a masterpiece. It was a mastercraft of first-person horror. I thought it was an absolutely incredible game, like one of the best I've ever played. And I've been playing Capcom games since the 90s, you know, since some of you weren't born because I'm so old. So,
well,
you know, but
I mean, can we
say
are we allowed to say that? I guess it sounds kind of like you're being a jerk, I suppose. Whenever I say it, I don't feel like I'm a very nice guy, but there's an over-the-top, really exorbitant style that's in Japanese games or Japanese RPG games. It's part of the culture of how their entertainment goes. And I didn't grow up around it as much as most people that like anime or like those games. And when I play them, for me, it's kind of like a culture shock. Like when I was playing Wolong, like the voice actors are like, it's the casual way they talk is just kind of off-putting. But then I can also say that Western games can be really super heavy-handed and like, I'm going to go in there and take him out, you know? And it's like supposed to be ultra cool and it may come off as cheesy, but
because it's our
you
culture.
Like what you like. You like what you like,
like
right?
It's like watching a Hollywood film or going to Japan and watching a Japanese action film. It's a different culture. It's a different thing, and it's fine. I respect all of it. I actually love the Japanese culture.
We wouldn't be anywhere. Our games wouldn't be anywhere if it wasn't for the development of all these games. Yeah.
We only played Japanese games for the first 30 years of my life anyway, or 25 years of the gaming experience. They were all Japanese games anyway, right? So, I mean, I loved, except for the Atari. But besides that, they were all Japanese, and they were fantastic.
All my NES games that I loved, I found out later that they were all completely from amazing Japanese studios. And
then my PS1, PS2, and then the shift happened. Then you got your Naughty Dogs. Then you got your... you got your coalitions. Well, now you got your coalitions and everything else. And then, of course, you have your Bungies and everything else like that. And then it changed, and then I gravitated, and then you got your Tomb Raiders, right? And your Uncharted's and all these other games, and of course, all the Rockstar games. And then they more reflected the Western culture, which, of course, I obviously identify more with. And then that's why I sort of gravitate towards that. So, like, I can play a game like Last of Us or Gears of War or Halo or whatever, and obviously... gravitate towards those characters more, and just the other ones.
Let me pull the audience, but
Final Fantasy does nothing for me. But
I want to pull the audience because I can't say Japanese games, which some people like to throw that blanket over there, and that was kind of a controversy that happened a couple weeks ago. I think it was from the Square Enix lead, or I can't remember, but like. There's South Korean games that are really big. There's Chinese built games and Japanese built games. So I don't want to say Eastern, but I don't even know how to say this. But I want to ask the audience yes or no if they like those style of games. But what do I designate those games that covers it? Say. I'll just say Eastern games, but you know what I mean, because there is a style like there's definitely a European or Eastern European style for sure. Stalker and Metro and Atomic Heart, and Dying Light 2. Those games all are very, very similar in their style. And they're from completely different studios that are in like the same region of the world. It's so funny when we say this because we're just on planet Earth here. We're just trying not to fall into the ocean at this point. But I'll say, do you love Eastern games? And since we've been talking, you all know in the chat what I'm talking about. And I'll ask the community because I know there's big fans. I got Dante Moody in the chat who just had put up a super. I know he loves a lot of styles from around the world as well that I've never gotten into, but. He says, hey, Colt.
Like I said,
what's
as long
that?
as you're having fun and you're not hurting anybody, that's all that matters.
As long as you're not putting somebody in a chokehold. Yeah. Dante Moody, thank you so much for the $20 super. He says, Mag and Colt, the new Tango Cash. Great show, fellas. Are we doing okay, Mag?
We're doing fantastic. We're doing fantastic. I don't care. Hey, listen, man. You know what's funny? We're already past the 2-hour mark, and we're just shooting the breeze, baby. And you know what? We're just talking. We're just doing. We're just talking.
I'm just drinking water out of that looks like Mountain Dew color when I drink through the straw.
Yeah, man. No, it's been great, man. We're having a good time. I'm having a good
was
time.
nervous.
Chat's having a good time. A lot of people making fun of me, which is great.
I was nervous,
So,
Mag, because I hadn't done the show in a couple weeks. Bringing you on, like I was hoping that I would provide a good entertaining time for you and the chat. And I had to fall back on the crush and maybe get a Mountain Dew. Maybe that's just my weakness. Raiden Blade with the member chat says, "What about Activision Spider-Man games? Do you think that an enhanced version of the Marvel game would be ported or not? What are your thoughts?" Are you asking about the Activision Marvel Spider-Man games? I think they would.
Sony only has rights to the Hollywood. To the film version of Spider-Man, not necessarily the character in the video game series. So I think the past, which you would consider legacy titles at this point, you're talking about like the old ones that they used to have, like that. Those were actually really good games. Those are good Spider-Man games. I don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure that those are free game, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like those will be able to go on Game Pass. Why not?
I don't think they will.
They would own that now.
I think the licensing is probably up. Otherwise, those might have been back and pat. That's what I'm thinking. I would really like to play Spider-Man Dimensions. Am I calling that the right name?
That's the one I was thinking of. Dimensions, fantastic game.
I hear it's fantastic, and I missed it. I only kind of messed around with 1 and 2 afterward. I think maybe the licensing for Activision games like the Transformer games and the Spider-Man games are probably not able to be brought in through back and pat. And when I talked to Bill Stillwell and Jason Ronald when Bill Stillwell was at Xbox, they said that these licensing deals are like, they're just done. Like there's nothing they can do about them, and trying to bring them up is not cost effective to try to bring them back. So to answer you, Raiden Blade, I think the Spider-Man games can't just come to Game Pass or back and pat program. The Assassin with the $5 says, with games like Redfall out and live service games like Halo, Forza Horizon 5, releasing new updates before E3 with Rally, he says, what could Xbox show first party wise for E3? Yeah, it seems like all this stuff's already out there, Mag. So what does Xbox need to show at E3 that's not already ready to be delivered?
Indiana Jones, maybe?
Yes.
Indiana Jones would be a game that I would need to see because the movie comes out literally 3 weeks or 2 weeks after that the Xbox showcase. So why not ride the wave of popularity? I mean, whether the game's going to be or the movie's going to be hot or not, that's to be determined. But James Mangold has not made a bad movie to date. If you actually look back and see all the James Mangold's movies, his last 11 movies were nothing but amazing films. So
he's the one making the Indiana Jones movie?
He directed it.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of him before.
Sorry. Well, his last movie he did was Logan. The Wolverine movie.
Okay. That's good.
And then he did like 3:10 to Yuma, and he did.
I didn't love Crystal Skull, so
James Mangold took over from Spielberg, and he directed this film. Now the thing is, like I said, go IMDb James Mangold. Anybody in the chat or anybody who cares. Good call, by the way, Pete. Just Pete in the chat. State of Decay 3.
Ooh, I wonder if that's ready to be shown yet.
All about that. It's been so long since we saw the half-eaten deer.
Yeah. It's been 2 years solid.
It's been, they're pulling
3 years. 2 years.
2 years?
3 years.
They're pulling a rock star. It'll be the thing and then nothing.
If they show you the E3 2020, it'll be 3 years. I can't do that math.
Well,
yes,
dude,
I can do that math.
We also just had, in between the trailer and their next reveal, we also had a global pandemic. So that might have had a big impact on that game. So who the heck knows?
I think E3 it's a guaranteed we see what Avowed looks like. Especially since we saw that release screenshot like 6 months ago or 8 months ago. Yeah, Avowed. Man, it was almost a year ago we saw that screenshot. Yeah, Avowed is Obsidian's big game that I think we're going to see. Now, I'm not sure about Fable and Perfect Dark because it just seems like they're hiring too many people and we're hearing too many weird hiccups or delays. Like Crystal Dynamics has barely begun to work on Perfect Dark on their part.
Yeah,
and
I don't know what the hell's going on with that.
They also said that their Tomb Raider game will come out first.
Let them work on it. and then just, you know what, call me back when it's ready. Like, don't bother with it right now. I don't want to see screenshots. I don't need to see developer developer diaries. Just work on it. Take your time. Do whatever you got to do. Keep us busy in the meantime. That's all that matters. You're keeping us happy. This is entertainment for us, guys. Okay, this is entertainment for guys and gals, everybody. Okay?
What? This is like our whole life here, bro. I gotta fight on Twitter. I gotta get a Triton and it's.
Yeah. I mean, this is what we do for fun, right? So keep us entertained. That's it. Like, it's not the end of the world if they decide to delay it another year or whatever they want to do. Go ahead, do it. Why don't you keep me entertained? I'm having a good time. When I'm finished work or I'm done with dealing with my kids or anything else like that, and I go sit down and I pick up a controller, I just want to have a great time and enjoy what I'm doing, get enveloped in whatever world I'm in and all that kind of stuff, and in the story and the characters or whatever. I don't care. So if the game takes 2 more years, 3 more years, three more years, my God, I can't even speak anymore. 3 more years, then just go work on it and don't talk about it. Okay?
How many words have you said tonight?
My God,
that's why we're flubbing over everything. How the chat wants to know about Contraband. I've heard that they missed milestones. I heard they missed milestones last year. This is the Avalanche team, the team that made Just Cause 3 and 4. Not fantastic games, but apparently a third person heist, Grand Theft Auto style heist game that takes place in the 70s over in the Mediterranean somewhere. So it's like a period and country location specific heist game, which what I think is cool about this, Mag, since you and I are the oldest here in the entire show and chat, what I think is cool about Contraband is there's no cell phone, no technology, no closed circuit cameras everywhere. Nope. Like, it is old fashioned, fast car, quick with your gun, run and get the money, get out quickly. And, you know, when your line of sight is broken, you're good to go and you're rich. I think it might be pretty interesting to get away from they can see us on the traffic cameras and have you thought about that?
Yeah, of course. And I'm like, you know what I would consider period pieces now, because let's face it, the 70s was basically 50 years ago at this point, right? I mean, like, you know what I mean? So, like, the early 70s,
unfortunately,
50 years ago. I mean, I was born in 75 and I'm 48. So 1973 is 50 years. So, you know what? We'll call that a period piece. Bring it. That's why I loved Mafia 3. Mafia 3 took place in the 60s. Fantastic. Great music, great atmosphere. They nailed all that kind of stuff. Okay, some of the flying boats and stuff like that. But besides that, they nailed the atmosphere. Go for it. And I would love the 70s. When someone mentioned that Grand Theft Auto 6 was going to take place in the 70s, like this was like a rumor I heard a couple years ago. I mean, it's probably unfounded now. Or they say there's going to be time jumps. And they're like, it might be in the 70s. I'm like, go. I want to drive a 17-foot Buick.
We didn't talk about that in Grand Theft Auto because there isn't anything to hold on to, but
not yet.
I don't want it to take place in the 2020s. Like, that was one of the things I actually didn't love.
I want everybody smoking. I want everybody drinking. I want everybody driving 17-foot long candy paint, Impalas with the roof down. I want platform shoes. Okay. I want trench coats. I want pimp suits.
Rockstar nails the feel and the lampoon of a certain time period.
Dude, how amazing!
People don't know a lot of people don't know this, but Grand Theft Auto San Andreas was one of the games that brought me back into gaming to where I was like, okay, I'm addicted. It's over. That's just all I'm going to do. And it was in like 07. Like, because when I played Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, I felt like I was in the Menace to Society movie. I felt like I was a character in that. It nailed Boys in the Hood and Menace and South Central, and it had all the music that I loved when I was in high school. Yep. And Rockstar just does that. And I think they're missing the boot when they
oh my God.
when they make a game that's like supposed to be riffing off of modern day. And that might be my only complaint with Grand Theft Auto 5 is your little cell phone that popped up and the apps and stuff.
I don't want the iFruit. Remember
it's not as fun. It's not as fun as
iFruit. Give me nothing. Give me a revolver. Okay. How about LA Noire? How amazing was LA Noire? They nailed the 20s and 30s, I think it was the 30s actually. 1930s Hollywood. Yeah. They nailed the 30s atmosphere.
No. Wasn't it the 50s?
It was during the Black Dahlia serial killings.
Okay, I thought it was the 50s.
Serial killings, which are real, by the way, if you guys want to check it out. It's actually a very scary thing. Black Dahlia serial killings in Hollywood took place, I think, in the 30s.
Okay. I thought it was so interesting when you go to someone's house and they're like, the bathroom's out back, and they had like what would look like a pump house or a really nice shed, and that's where the bathroom was back there in the days. Right. If you had to go to the bathroom, you walked out in the backyard and opened the door and went in and sat on your outhouse toilet. I'm asking the chat, GTA 6, what time period would you want? And I'll just say, and I have to say this out loud for people who may be listening on audio on Spotify or Google or Apple Podcasts. Thank you for checking out the show on demand. We appreciate it. GTA 6, what time period would you want? 70s, 80s, 90s, or modern? Sounds like a promo for a radio commercial. We play the best of the 70s, 80s, 90s, and today on Sunny 105.7.
I want to answer a few things in the chat real quick while people are doing that. First of all, shout out to Frank Kent, who said L.A. Noire is actually the 50s. That's where the Black Dahlia serial killings took place, in the 50s.
Nice, Frank. Nice.
Cord Wayner, don't think I didn't see that, where he said Mag remembers the 1930s. Yeah. I'm that old. And Mr. Owner, to answer your question, these headphones are Turtle Beach 800X Elites. They are incredible headphones.
Nice.
They are the best that Turtle Beach makes.
The 30s would be like the what do they call that? That stupid dance when they have like the flapper era.
The flappers was the 20s and 30s. Not
that was the 20s. Yeah, maybe it was.
Yeah,
the 20s.
That was the 20s and 30s. Yeah, right during and after the Depression. That's the time that I was just starting high school, according to the chat. So, you know.
Give me a Grand Theft Auto in the 1930s. It'll be fantastic. Hargate Shawnee.
We didn't have teeth. We had wooden teeth.
We were in the soup line to get some bread, and the stock market crashed. And we drove I don't know what they drove back then for cars. Our Buick. So we have a Hargate Shawnee with a $10 super chat. Says two of the top. Yeah, wave to Hargate Shawnee. Two of the top franchises. What? Say what? Who?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I do primetime gaming with Hargate.
Of course. I mean, Hargate's all over the place. Member, yeah. We're going to call him Hargate Worldwide Shawnee is what we're going to call him. He says,
call him that now?
Yeah, we're going to call him that. Yeah. He says, two of the top franchises are Japanese. Mario and Zelda. Plenty of Asian games that are great. Elden Ring, anyone? Yeah. He says, Hi-Fi Rush.
A fantastic game. I didn't say all of them. I'm just saying I just don't like connect with some of the cultural things, like the way that the storytelling and stuff. And when you play a game like Final Fantasy, it's all about the story, right? It's all about like the choices you make and the routes you take and all that kind of stuff. And if I can't connect to the characters because of that specific type of storytelling, then it just doesn't do anything for me. That's all I was trying
I mean, you're not telling people not to play the game.
All over because I play a lot of Japanese games. I put 130 hours in Elden Ring.
Yeah, I put like 60 hours into Final Fantasy 15, and the characters, the way they talk, just drove me up the wall.
I can't.
The combat's great, but it's just it's maybe it's just not for me. But he says he lists off these Asian games: Elden Ring, Hi-Fi Rush, Dead Rising, yes. Hi-Fi Rush, yes. Street Fighter,
Dead Rising,
yeah. I like the older Street Fighters.
Yeah, that was great in the 90s. Yeah.
Yakuza, Hargate loves Yakuza. Yeah. Ninja Gaiden, I love the NES Ninja Gaiden games. Contra, love the NES ones. Metal Gear, yeah, the first few are pretty good, but the other ones not so much.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I played Metal Gear. I beat Metal Gear on the NES, Mag, and it was like no other game.
Yep.
Yeah. Bob Digital with a $5 super chat says, don't forget about Stalker 2 coming in from the Eastern European studio, GCS Worldwide, or whatever they're called, World Studios. Stalker 2, man, I hope that comes out.
Stalker 2, when is that coming anyway? Did they give a release date for that? I can't remember what happened to it.
Yeah, the placeholder says December, but...
oh, okay, all right. So
it just seemed like the game was... It seemed like the game was done, and they wanted to hit 2023 because they couldn't make 2022. Another like situation where Xbox... Xbox, like
rule of thumb, Colt. When it says December, you know it's 2024. It's always the year after.
Well, I mean, Dead Island 2 said December every year for the past 10 years.
Well, there you
at
go.
GameStop. I called GameStop on a YouTube video back in 2015. I recorded the phone call and I said, And they're like, GameStop, how can I help you? And I said, or I think he was like, GameStop, where you get your rewards, cloud. It's about a bunch of games that just sell. You just get a free magazine. And I said, hey, can I pre-order Dead Island 2? And he's like, yeah, sure. Just put $5 down. I go, okay. And then I hung up. And then I put that in my video when I was talking about how Dead Island 2 is later. Like, yeah, I'm like never going to release.
Those YouTube videos? 8 years later. And then Colt's still waiting on his $5. And like, hey, remember I called you back 8 years ago?
Somebody in the comment section was like, dude, they've had my $5 for like 3 years. So yeah. Jonas the Dad with the $5 super.
I'm with you, buddy.
Jonas the Dad says, heard it here. Colt says Avowed, guaranteed to launch at E3. Hit that like button. Mag is killing it. Shadow drop. Everyone wants the shadow drop. Shout out to Mag, everybody. Danny Passion says, amazing show. Let's go. And Delilah HD in the chat says, it's my birthday. So everybody in the chat, write happy birthday, Delilah HD. Yeah, met her at E3 in 2019. She's great. Been on their show, Grown Women Gaming. They're super fun. Meg, let me look. Let's just say this as we go out. Square Enix is not happy that they're not selling games, but they're going to continue to make PlayStation exclusives. They're going to continue to make PlayStation exclusives, and they're going to make some NFT blockchain games. So good luck to Square Enix as we close up the show. Meg, thank you so much. The first show, I'm gonna have to like just. I don't even know what to say. It was crazy. It was really crazy. I had a good time.
Man. Great time. Look at the time just flew 2.5 hours.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, no kidding, man. Yeah, we just kept going. But hey, that's how we do. And we will refine as we go over time. But I thought it was a great show. We had a great time. Chat, you guys are hilarious. Happy birthday, Delilah, by the way. Yay. And if you're coming to E3, come find us. And if you can't find us, look for the old bald guy that's wearing a shirt with a picture of an old bald guy on it. Yeah,
look for Walter Joey Pans White / Taylor Swift. Is that what they said? Jenna Ortega. Swift, you look Walter like Jenna White, Ortega. Jenna Ortega. Next week. Now I don't have it for sure, but as planned, next week Meg and I are going to be chatting for about an hour for part of the show with Forbes magazine's Paul Tassi, who's been pretty excited about Xbox, but still kind of, rubbing, digging the elbow into the back. But I think we're going to have a pretty cool conversation with Paul Tassi about where everything is heading. So he'll be on next week if everything goes to plan. If not, I'll get somebody else or maybe just Mag and I'll hang out, but it's going to be great. Mag, tell everybody where they can follow you. I've got you in the description, and, say hi and bye and all that stuff.
Yes. Well, you know what? It was an absolute honor. What a great way to start this. Great way to start the show. We'll say the new show going forward. I had a blast. Had a great time. We had a great time. A lot of great laughs. Chat, you guys are hilarious. You know what? I always have these awful fears of be like, screw this Mag guy. He's not a sauce guy. He's not a blah, 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 blah. And you know what? And I was afraid it was going to be that. And I was going to be like, you know what? Do I have to like make, well, you know what? We can't do anything about Gaz anyway because he's in an Armenian prison and I put him there. So he's going to stay there for quite a while. Let's see it. Yeah. And you know what? His law degree ain't going to get him out because my people got him locked in. Anyways, in all seriousness, it's an absolute great time tonight. And like I said, chat, you guys were absolutely hilarious. So Tyrone, I see you there, buddy. And you know what? Amazing. It was amazing that we had like 1,200 people in the chat. Obviously hit the like button on your way out, but you know what? 1,200 people. I didn't miss a single comment from you guys. I couldn't answer you guys all the time because I'm too busy blabbing this mouth of mine. But we're having a great time, and we had a great time. I really look forward to the future. I really look forward to getting together with you guys. And if anybody in the chat is down in that LA area during E3, don't be shy to come find us and DM me or whatever you want to hook up. Absolutely, I'll be down there. So, anyways, Colt, what an awesome show. I look forward to Paul Tassi next week. I already have questions I want to ask him. Listen, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for what we're going to do in the future. Guys, stick with it. Stick with us. We're going to have a lot of great content coming up. Yeah, thank you, Mag. I've also been watching the chat a lot more today than I normally do, and you guys are cracking me up. It really makes a difference. The chat really adds a lot of, like, we're all hanging out together on the show. I kind of moved the
overlay out. I've got it 1440p, kind of changed things up to kind of clean it up. So I'm just kind of trying to make the show more enjoyable on the eyes. Sorry about our faces. We'll work on it. We'll get some Botox. It'll be great. We'll look better, but we really appreciate it. Keep an eye out for my Redfall thoughts here in the next 10 days or 8 days, whatever it is. And I've got more content to make. I really appreciate everybody's support. Thank you for being here for so long. Mag, thanks again. We're going to hit the out button and we're going to call it a night. And we really appreciate you. We'll see you next week. Thanks for everything. Mag, way by. They're going to be gone for like a week.
We'll see you next week, guys.
All right. See ya.